Alrighty, here we go with the I Will Never Forgive You podcast, episode 8. 2 weeks ago, over 2 weeks ago, we'll talk about the schedule change here in a minute, but over 2 weeks ago was a lot of fun. I like doing the split thing. Let me know in the comments what else I should do that with. Split it, right? Heavy focus on one particular anime, and then everything else podcast related as something else. I like the split, you know. And let me see. I think it worked out pretty well, ratings wise as well. I mean, if nothing else, it's an extra view because you have to go to 2 podcasts, right? Actually, no. Wow, that's kind of telling. 116 views for episode 6. 7 got 63 views for each video. So literally half. Half my audience went to one video and half my audience went to the other video. Never mind. There's no reason to split my audience. That hurts the algorithm. Well, so never mind. I guess I won't be splitting anymore. But I don't want it to be too long, right? So like if it, I don't know. I do know that I need to. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I would have done it last Sunday, but then I would still be in the same problem. The reason I'm switching to Wednesdays at noon, and just so you know, it's Wednesdays noon Eastern Standard Time from now on is what we're doing. And the reason I'm doing that is my workflow just doesn't. It just isn't conducive to doing something on Sunday night like this, right? Because I like to get it out on Thursday, but the work that I do, because I have deadlines for Friday, I have deadlines for Saturday. So trying to do something on Thursday means I'm putting off the Friday and Saturday deadlines. And so it's really rough. Whereas if I was just going to do it on Sunday, I could probably record it Sunday morning, no problem, get it out there. But I like to have early access because I'm trying to give something for people that are on, the tier 3, $5 tier, little promotion there. That's the podcast tier. I never got around to doing a video for June, so I'm doing 2 videos in July. And we're already July 8th, so we're falling behind on that. So I want to have something here. I want to be able to do something. So probably what I'm going to start doing is recording them on Sunday, putting them on early access Sunday night, and then that way it can just, it'll be ready for Wednesday. Worst case scenario, I'm putting it out on Monday, So with the Thursday, Friday, Saturday deadlines, we're just making it almost impossible to get this done. And then on Sunday, I felt like crap because on Saturday, I spent all day because I'm having to take side gigs, right, to make ends meet. And so it's driving. I'm driving for a guy who does freelance gigs. Well, it's 4 hours one way. So it ended up being 9 hours driving on Saturday. We went up to West Virginia from North Carolina. 9 hours driving. It was a 3-hour gig. We left at 7:30 in the morning, didn't get back until 10 o'clock because of various things stopping and stuff like that. And then the hangover the next day was just, ungodly. I couldn't get jack shit done on Sunday. So that's when I realized I'm just going to have to change it. Because if I had a backup podcast, which was my original plan, I could have just put it out there Sunday night fine. But then what happens in a couple weeks? Because there's a lot of the gigs fall on Saturday, too. That's another problem. So, that's the deal. So that's why we're going to start doing Wednesday at noon. Because just the way my week goes, I have certain deadlines in the week. And the way my week goes, Wednesday noon is a hell of a lot better than Sunday night at 9 p.m. And probably, I feel like people are around the world, so it may not matter too much. The people that watch my shit are just all over the place. New Zealand, Germany, England, Japan. I think there's some people in Japan. I'm not sure, but I think there are. So, that doesn't really matter. But, for people in America, Sunday night, 9 p.m. isn't necessarily as good as, say, Wednesday afternoon. If you're at work, you can just access shit. So that's the plan. So that's why we're doing that. But just to finish promotion thing, the drill, Patreon, blah, 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 tier 3, blah, 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 it's just, we get it. You get it by now. Helps a lot. I have to admit, I am worried about what's going to happen when One Piece is done. One Piece seems to be a large percentage of my Patreon, and we're only about, I have about 30 episodes left. If my Patreon decreases by like half, I don't know that I can keep doing this. I may have to get a full-time job. Maybe only be able to do one anime a week or something like that. I love being able to devote my full time to this. But I'm worried because nothing has been able to replace One Piece. I am going to get back into Bleach. I'm going to get back into JoJo. I need to be more consistent with those things. I know that the reason why people aren't really into that is because I'm not consistent. I understand that. And I'm trying to figure out a way to just get ahead on those things, and then it'll be fine, right? But so I hope they can still take off. I don't know that they necessarily will. I think there's a small loyal fan base. I don't know if anybody's going to join the Patreon just for that. They're not doing it for one person's doing it for Boruto, which is why I'm continuing that show. Nobody's going to do it for Yu. Gentana is sponsored, so somebody's doing it for Gentana, and that seems to actually be popular too. So that's a double bonus, right? When it's popular and sponsored. But I need to find a show that people are excited about getting early access to. Which again, like it could be Bleach and it could be JoJo if I could ever effing get ahead on those shows. It's been rough. But like as One Piece winds down, I will have more time for those other shows. We'll see. But I admit I am worried. That the Patreon's going to go drastically down because One Piece it's my meal ticket, right? It's what a lot of people are on the Patreon to get early access to. And I don't know, there'll be weekly episodes coming out sometimes when there's not a hiatus. I don't know if people are going to be excited about that, to join just for that. But I don't know. We'll see. The future will take care of itself. But you can help by sponsoring the podcast. Join Tier 3. So, all right. Well, and just to put a button on that, I will be getting better about early access for the podcast, and I will be getting better about making sure I do a video every month. Last month was just really rough. This month is also going to be bad, but then it should lighten up after that. As far as the side hustle thing, because it seems like every one of these, like some of the gigs are like 30 minutes away. That's fine. But lately it seems like each one is 3 hours one way. That just takes a lot out of me. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and get to the polls and feedback. We will start with the comments for One Piece, the One Piece portion of the program. I'm just curious here. I think I at least got more comments, even though the views were split exactly in half. No, I didn't either. Jesus Christ. It literally just split in half. Episode 6 had 29 comments. Episode 7 had 12 and 16. So 28. So no, like splitting it accomplishes exactly dick. I get the same effect, just spread out, which is not good. Anyway, let's get to I think this will be the 16 comments. The first batch is from Hunter Stone. By the way, just so you know, this is a way to get me to read your comment, unless you're giving me a time for the cuss word, because don't forget, like if you can predict when I'm going to say the F-bomb, you get a free TV show reaction. So details in previous podcasts. We're not going to bog you down here, but yeah. So unless that's what your comment is, any other comment is going to be read by me. Where a lot of times I'll just it may be frustrating. You leave a comment and you just get a heart. I don't necessarily have anything to add, or I plan on talking about it in a future intro or something, or address it like in some of my Q&As or something like that. So this case, I have to read and have to somehow acknowledge in some way your comment. So it's a great way to force me to acknowledge. Because I'll tell you, I'm the same with me, man. I'm that way too when I comment on other people's channels. Like it may not feel special if you're at a channel where they answer every single comment, but at least your shit gets addressed in some form or fashion. Whereas, good luck getting any kind of recognition from Sophie Reacts, going to her channel and leaving a comment, or even the normies, or any of these bigger ones. Dakara Jane is very good about answering comments, or at least giving us a heart. Hey, I saw this, which is all I want. I just want some acknowledgement. You give it a heart, that's fine. Answer it, that's even better. But man, you just can't, some of these channels, and it makes you just not want to leave a comment. Why would you? They're never going to see it. So it can be frustrating if you never get it, if you never get acknowledged in any way. Now, I acknowledge it with a heart, but still you may feel like, well, damn, I wish you had answered that. Well, if you leave a comment on the podcast, it doesn't even have to be about the podcast. It can be about a show you like. It could be a repeat comment that you left on the thing. I just gave you a heart and didn't answer it. If you want an answer, if you really want an answer, just leave it in the podcast. I read everything and I react to everything. So I am a reaction channel. So this is me reacting to the comments. So that's one good way to do it. I wish every channel did that. So force Sophie Reacts to see what the hell I wrote. Hunter Stone. This first batch is from Hunter Stone. The first 4. Queen was also a favorite character of this arc for me. A lot of it was due to the dub voice actor. He is one of my favorite performers of the entire series. I agree. I didn't watch the dub. I have listened to the English guy, and apparently he's like a Grammy winner or some shit. I have listened to him in the on YouTube, right? Like listen the Queen songs in English. I prefer him in Japanese, obviously, and the Japanese voiceover was also really good. I just like his whole vibe, his whole aesthetic. I like everything about him. He's got a very distinctive personality. He's an asshole. He's a sociopath who doesn't care about anybody underneath him. Will kill them as soon as look at him. I don't like that. Like I prefer villains to be loyal to their men. But whatever, that it's interesting. It's different. It's an interesting flavor. And his look, and he don't care that he's fat. I always love it when people don't care if they're fat. Like I don't care that I'm fat, and I love when other people don't care if they're fat. I love that what he turns into the cyber dino. I love that, and I love that like he was talking shit to Big Mom, who could turn him into a grease spot, and she nearly did. He talked shit to her. Don't you ever mention red bean soup to me again. Like, that's prime shit talking. Don't you ever mention that shit in front of me again. Like, he said this shit to her face. That is the moment I fell in love with this character. And nothing that happened after that changed my mind. Brilliant. Just the only thing that I just hate the way he went out, and it's kind of a trope in anime, because I'm up to 11:02. After I finish this podcast, I'm going to actually record a bunch more. But right now, as I record this, 1102 is what I've seen. So I've seen the episode where he gets killed by the Wood Admiral, and I hate it like when it takes 25 episodes to defeat somebody, and somebody comes in and curb stomps them in 2 minutes. Like, you're kind of negating the other shit. Like, there's no way this Wood Admiral is that much better than Luffy and some of these other people that fought him, and Sanji and Zoro and stuff. I don't know. Maybe, it's a way. The reason I don't like it is it's a way to say, hey, these people were great, but this new guy is even more awesome. But it's a cheap way to do that. I wish there was another way to do that. Because that's what it is. That's what it is. It's a writing shortcut. Hey, this is a way to demonstrate the new person is even better. Which you need to do. You need to keep increasing the stakes. You can't go from we fought a god to we fought a lowly vampire. That doesn't make any sense. The stakes are much lower. It's deflating. So you want each villain to be stronger than the last one. And you need to show that. And it's a quick and dirty way to show it. I just don't like it. I just wish that they could put a little bit more effort. Not that this series needs to be any longer. That's for goddamn sure. Maybe show 2 episodes of him doing something. Okay, yeah, we believe he's stronger than Queen. That's probably not worth it. So it's fine. I just don't particularly like it, and I hate that Queen went out like that. But, yeah, he's pretty much the MVP as far as I'm concerned. We talked about that. But, yeah, I know King was technically more powerful than him, because that's why he's king. But Queen was the MVP for me. The hardest fight was Momo having to lift an entire island the first time as an adult dragon. I don't disagree. Yeah, I mean, that was a hell of a thing, and it really was an anointment of him as the leader of the island, right? Like, he's just 8 years old. There's no way he should be making decisions for people. But he seems to have a wisdom beyond his years, and I think a lot of it was he had to grow up really fast. He had to do things, and that's one of them. And the effort, and you'll never not believe in yourself anymore. Like, I got in a fight when I was like 17, and I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the guy was like an ex-Navy SEAL or some shit. He curb stomped me. Like, it was bad. But he was trying to steal my wallet, right? And I walked in because it was it's kind of a long story, but it's basically like a hostel dorm type situation for basically homeless people. You can stay a couple days there for free, right? One of those scenarios. So they're like, it's all like temporary bedrooms. Yeah, my wallet with my little like $6 in it next on the nightstand and everything. I came in the room and he was grabbing it and was like trying to pull the money out of it and everything. He was bigger than me and he was like this really scared. Everybody's scared of him. And he saw me coming and he's like, I'm taking this. I said, no, you're not. And then he turned to me and he's like, I'm taking it, and if you try to stop me, I'm going to kill you, right? And then I hit him. I didn't even say anything else. I just hit him in the mouth, right? And of course he curb stomped me. Like, it was over so fast. Like, I was on the ground. Like, I don't even remember how it happened. I was on the ground and he was choking me. And he choked me until I passed out. And when I woke up, he was standing over me. And he said, I'm taking this. And I got back up and I tried to hit him again, and then he put me back down and knocked me out again, right? Then he just left. And he left the wallet and left the money. And, like, he could have easily killed me. Like, there's nothing I could do. But I wasn't going to back down. Like, I just, I was an asshole, right? Like, and stubborn. But, like, the funny thing was, at that time, I had been feeling like maybe I was a coward. I didn't really know if I was a coward or not. I wasn't sure. Because I was always backing down for my stepfathers and stuff. And they were just, I was a kid and they're grown-ass men. But I was always kind of back down and, and just never really fight back against bullies, but they're kids. And, the stakes aren't very high in, like, school and, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen to you in the hallway of a school? Like, like, you can stand up to bullies, but what are you really doing? So I didn't know if I was a coward or not, right? I was willing to die over that $6 because screw him, And that was it. That was the only reason. And so that told me that I wasn't a coward. Like, that was proof in my face that I wasn't a coward. And so that was a life-altering moment for me. I had several. My mom dying, just, I think, made me a better person. Long story. But that was a life-altering moment at a pivotal time in my life when it was like, okay, well, I may be a lot of different things, but I'm not a coward. Because the guy could have totally killed me, and I got back up that second time and didn't give a shit. So, we have moments where we realize who we are. So, to me, that's like what Momo did when he lifted the island. See, because after that, I never had to stick my chest out, and I never had to try to prove to anybody else that I was brave, because I knew I was. I knew in my heart I was not a coward. And it didn't matter if anybody else believed it. The problem is, when you don't know if you're a coward or not, then you have to prove it to people. It matters if other people think you're a coward, right? But because I knew for a fact, irrevocably, no doubt whatsoever, I was not a coward. I knew that to my core. People could call me a coward to my face all day long and be like, yeah, whatever, man. Whatever. Just try to take my $6 and we'll find out. It didn't matter. I didn't care anymore. And that was one of the things that helped me stop ever getting in fights anymore. I had nothing to prove anymore. It's just, everybody's just selling wolf tickets at that point. It didn't matter. Because I had proven to myself, and that's the only person that needed to be proven to. Everybody else is going to believe whatever the hell they want regardless, right? It really doesn't. It doesn't matter what anybody else believes. And so Momo had that moment, in a similar way, lifting the island. Like, he had this moment where he did something that nobody could ever take away from him. He lifted that effing island by himself with just the sheer force of his willpower. So that gave him a confidence he will never lose for the rest of his life. It changed him forever. One moment can change a person forever, especially earlier in your life when you're a teenager. He's even younger than that. But you can have that moment where it's like, okay, this is my new world order. This is what reality is. Okay, I can stop questioning shit. He can stop questioning whether he's strong enough. He did it. So he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. He's going to be a good leader, I think, and I think he will have the self-confidence. He doesn't have the wisdom yet, I don't think. He's going to need his advisors. He's going to need to mature. He's going to need to grow up. He'll make mistakes. He'll make wrong decisions and learn from them. But I believe he should never have again is a lack of self-confidence. Kind of like what I was talking about with Usopp at the island. Usopp should never again doubt whether he can face down death because he did it so often for so long, right? But yeah, so for me, that's a pivotal moment. That was a big deal. Third comment, I don't think when people talk about the brilliance of the world building in One Piece, they mean the actual geography or the weather. When I think about the world building, I think about the history, cultural, technology, politics, magic system. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember specifically what I said to provoke that. I do know that I said that. I'm not sure that the world makes sense. The geography makes sense. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's just, you just want the author to give a shit and you want them to put into work, really. And we're never going to see all the work they put in. I mean, J.R.R. Tolkien gave a shit. He put into work. He cared about the world building. He cared why things were the way they were. One of my favorite things about George R.R. Martin, he followed, and he did this because he followed history, right? Because this was history in Europe. In Europe, they would have there'd be too many people, right? So then they'd have a plague. And then after the plague, there'd be a lot fewer people. So wages went up, and supply of food also went up. So food was cheap. You got paid more for a day of work than you did when there was an extra 10 people trying to get your job. But after the plague, there may be 2 other people trying to get your job. And if you're really good, you're going to be in high demand, so they have to pay you more. Whereas 2 years ago, before the plague, they didn't have to pay you very much because there's another 10 people that can do your job. And there was the same amount of food, but there's so many more people. So food was more expensive. So you got paid less, and food's more expensive. After the plague, you get paid more, and food is less expensive because there's less people demanding the food. So they have to lower the price for getting somebody to buy it. So obviously for the people who survived the plague, it was good. But that's just a reality. That's something that happened in Europe, and there was a cycle for recorded history, like this kind of shit being actually recorded and kept track of in Europe, somewhere around the 11th or 12th century, somewhere around there, up through the Industrial Revolution. This was true. Whenever refrigeration was invented, right? This was true for that stretch of time. So it was about 600-700 years. It was a cycle. You'd have a really bad winter, which would kill some people. And then in spring, because of the really bad winter, you'd have disease and plagues that would kill a bunch of people. And in that summer and fall, and for a while after that, you'd have a lot less people. And so this is why the economy would go up and down. Like the prices of things, inflation and deflation and all this stuff would happen. So, in George R. Martin's The Dunk and Egg stories, which take place 100 years before the Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire thing, you would have food was more expensive because it was a prosperous time. There were a lot of people, and there hadn't been a bad winter, and there hadn't been a war recently. No plagues or anything like that. And then at the time of A Song of Ice and Fire, 100 years later, food is less expensive, and people get paid more because they have all these wars that are going on, and they've had the plague and everything, and so all this shit's happening. And he never states this outright. It was some other YouTuber noticed this, and he pointed this out because they talked about what food cost and what you get paid for wages in the Dunk and Egg stories, and then they talked about what food costs and what you get paid for wages, in the Song of Ice and Fire. And you have this, and there's 100 years difference. You have this comparison, and they noticed there was a difference. People noticed there is a difference. What was the difference? Well, other than 100 years, the difference was the conditions. And then people realized, somebody who was part of this discussion remembered the thing about Europe and this cyclical thing in Europe, that, how that would work. So this is the kind of thing, this is kind of world building we're talking about here. This is the kind of thing where it's like you put it in there and all the details. And maybe fans can piece together details like we have here. Like, I didn't do it, but, a YouTube channel and Reddit did it, right? But fans can maybe be able to piece it together. But you just put it in there, and it inherently makes sense, even if you don't know why it makes sense. And the reason it makes sense is because you put all this thought into it. You put this, you said, okay, when in this time period it's going to cost this, and we'll be paid this, and this time period it's going to cost us to be paid this because of these reasons, right? And that is truly brilliant, hard-working world building. We don't see it very often. We see it with J.R.R. Tolkien. We see it with George R. R. Martin. Trying to think, I haven't read any Sanderson or the Wheel of Time stuff, so I can't speak to that. I'm not sure who wrote the historic material, so I can't speak to that. But I'm sure there are other stories where they pay us so much attention and they really focus on the world building. Harry Potter, they have some good world building and some bad world building. Apparently, like the money system, the wizard money system was mocking and it was satirizing the English decimal money system, or pre-decimal, what they called it, the pre-decimal money system. I don't know what the hell that was. I wasn't around for that. But she was making fun of that. And I think World War II is when that changed or something like that, or maybe it's 1800s. They changed over to the decimal money system, and now their money made sense, and their money didn't make sense before that. And so when she established wizard money, she's making fun of that. But making fun of something that happened in real life isn't good world building, because it doesn't make sense. You look at it, and you can't make it make sense. Why would this ever happen this way? Well, it happened in real life, but then they changed it because they realized it was stupid. So, that's not good world building. But she doesn't care about the good world building in that situation. She just wants to make fun of the thing, right? So here, I think he's always going to prioritize telling a good story and being funny over super solid world building. Because I really don't think The world makes sense. I don't think the weather makes sense. The geography makes sense. I don't know that the other systems make sense. I've already talked about the fact that you couldn't possibly have this many pirates sustain themselves. That makes no sense because pirates live off of commerce. And so if pirates take away enough commerce, there wouldn't be any commerce, and then they would all starve to death and they wouldn't make any money and they wouldn't be able to survive, right? Now, the pirates in One Piece aren't necessarily going around. I don't know we've ever, maybe a few times we've seen them. Hey, there's a commerce ship. Let's go attack it, steal all their shit the way the pirates did in the Mediterranean and Caribbean or whatever in Earth history, right? Earth pirates thrived off commerce, and they were also a secret weapon of war. The Spanish and English hate each other, so the Spanish and English sponsor these privateers to go attack the commerce of the other nation as a kind of Cold War kind of thing. You also had that. And there's some hints of that here, too, where it's like, maybe the world government wants to put down this one nation, and so then maybe they could have pirates, like, just kind of like harass them a lot and stuff. Now, what we have heard about pirates attacking towns, which is a thing that happened, of course, and that's also attacking commerce, right? But say, what is a sustainable amount of lost commerce where commerce can still function, right? 5%, 10% at the most, because these companies would go out of business. They would never get the money, and so then they wouldn't be able to fund the new ships and the new trade. And so they would go out of business, which means there'd be no more commerce ships on the ocean for you to attack. So if you're losing more than 5 to 10% of your shipping, then there's too many pirates out there, right? Like, so it's the whole thing with Buffy. The amount of vampires they show in Buffy would have drained the entire world population in a few years. Like, because they're eating, and the rate they show them eating. They show vampires eating one person a day. That's 365 people a year. Let's round it off to 350 a year. Let's say they go a few days without it. In 10 years, they have killed 3,500 people, one vampire. You can see how fast this gets out of control. Some of these vampires have lived 200-300 years. And they show them, the world building makes no sense in Buffy. They should show, maybe they need to feed once a month. That would make sense. You need to feed once a month and you're sustained for a full month. And if you want to be powerful, maybe you eat a little more, you pig out. But under normal conditions, to survive, you only need to feed once a month. Something like it makes no sense because if we notice that many dead people. Now, some of the vampires don't kill them; they just drain them and let them live, right? But typically on Buffy, they don't show it that way. They just show that they kill them. So again, the world building makes no sense in the situations where, when you look at it, how would this actually work in a real life situation? How could it sustain itself? The vampires in Buffy can't sustain themselves. There's too many of them and they eat too much. They would be noticed and they'd be exterminated. Or they would have wiped out the human population. So, the world building makes no sense. Here, with the number of pirates makes no sense. There's too many goddamn pirates. What are they living off of? How are they functioning? Where do they get their food from? They're stealing it. Well, if they're stealing it and the people they're stealing from don't have any more food for the next people to steal. So, that's never made sense. There's just too many pirates. So, that world building doesn't make sense. But here's the thing about this. Real quick, let me just address the rest of what he's saying. The technology makes sense because, you have snails replacing cameras. Nobody's going to waste their time making cameras when snails do as good of a job for cheaper. You just have to grow, have these snails screw each other and create more snails, and you're there, right? So that makes sense. Just the fact we have magic has probably kept other technology down. And the world could be missing a couple elements you need for like higher technology to make transistors or whatever. The history and the culture makes sense for the most part. The magic system for everything I've seen holds together, so that's all good. But the world building doesn't have to make sense for it to be fun and enjoyable. Harry Potter is fun and enjoyable. It doesn't make sense. Buffy is fun and enjoyable. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. I tend to be a little more critical when you've got a writing room. You got 10, 15 people. Joss Whedon's supposed to be a genius. His mythology makes no sense. I could poke 75 holes in the mythology of not just how many vampires there are, all the mythology they talk about in the entire 12 seasons of the two shows. None of it makes any goddamn sense. I thought you were a genius. So I tend to be more critical when it's an entire group of people. 50 people contributed to that world building in Buffy. Harry Potter's just one person. Maybe a couple of research assistants. Probably not. Here, do we know if Odo has research assistants? I know George R. R. Martin does. He has several assistants that work with him full time. That's the only way he can keep all his shit together. They do more than just Song of Ice and Fire. There are always projects they help him with. They schedule his stuff and keep him in time for his meetings and all that stuff. But they also help with the writing, keeping track. Hey, what was the name of that person? How many people were in this party? How big did I say this town was? And all this shit. They help him with that shit. Do we know if he has that? Probably. I haven't heard anything that he does. But those are the kind of people that can help you. Like if something was to happen to him, he's hit by a bus or something, they can help you pull together and, okay, this is what his intentions were for the rest of the series. So good news for Song of Ice and Fire fans. Bad news for One Piece fans if something happens to him. But he's young. He should be fine. Yeah, it's charming world building. The One Piece, the world building is charming. It's fun. The locations are fun. The architecture is fun. Yeah, the architecture is another thing that doesn't make sense. I went to college for that, so I can speak to that. But, it doesn't make sense. The architecture is fun. The magic system is fun. The pirates are fun. It's just the technology is fun. The magic's fun. It's fun. So who gives a shit? The shit that matters, he has taken care of. Continuity errors. For instance, continuity errors are a big deal for me. Has he ever had a single one in the entire series? I don't know that I've ever heard of a single continuity error. George R. R. Martin can't keep the horse gender straight from book to book. One book, this woman's flat-chested. The other book, she's got some big bazookas. What the hell, man? Did she have a growth spurt? She was 20? Not likely. Eye color has changed between books with this sumbitch. Have we ever had a continuity error in this entire series? People would have told me, I believe. I don't think we have. I don't think that, for instance, Buggy was originally part of the Rocks Pirates, as said in issue 3, but then flash forward to issue 1500, when they show the Rock Pirates, he's not there, and it turns out he was with Gold Roger. We've never had anything like that I've seen. How the hell do you keep all that shit straight? I was having to flip back and forth. Okay, what were the people's names in the page 5? When they come up again in page 65, I had to flip back and forth. I don't take notes. So, I do it the old-fashioned stupid way, the time-consuming way. I can't keep the script turned out to be like 105 pages. I can't keep 105 pages straight in my mind when I wrote it over a 3-day time span. 3 days. Can't keep it straight. This sumbitch's been writing for 25 years. He's kept everything straight. So there's never going to be any criticism I can level against him that would mean anything, right? Because the enormity of what he's accomplished is always going to superimpose any criticism. He can be criticized. He's made mistakes. But the criticisms are a piss in the wind, man, as far as I'm concerned. They're so minuscule compared to what he's actually accomplished. So that's how I see it. So yeah, it's the brilliance of the world building is his charm. Not necessarily its realism, but then if it was realistic, would it be charming? No, right? We want the charming, we want entertaining, we want fun, and it's all that, right? So that's how I see it. And last Hunterstone comment for now. My second favorite anime universe is Beastars. It's very well done. Beastars. Beastars? What the ever living hell is that? Good God. They've got bunny rabbit ears. It's a drama, apparently. I gotta say, the character designs look fun. Well, I'm not going to look into what it's about, but character designs look fun. I gotta say. Put it on the list of things I will never have time to do. But it looks fun. But second favorite anime universe. So it's really just like the world building, right? Is what you're talking about. In probably the fact, I think it's like Odd Taxi, where it's like animals. The world is populated by animals. So Yeah, I can kind of see how that'd be a lot of fun. It changes things, right? There's that idiot that did a biopic of himself where he's a CGI monkey. He's doing a biopic of his own life, but he's a monkey. Is your life that boring you had to spruce it up with monkey business? Feels like it, you know. But it feels like a gimmick, right? But this just feels like it just makes things fun. It changes how you look at it, right? And that's all you're really trying to do. All right, this is D4C. My favorite part of the One Piece podcast is where you talk about Game of Thrones for 20 minutes. You know, people don't like smartasses. Well, that's a lie. People love smartasses. That's why people are smartasses. Well, congratulations. You just got another 10 minutes. Although, I always feel like it's to a point. I'm trying to make a point. But, hey, Hunter again. I'm expecting the following action of One Piece to last up to 30 episodes. Yeah. I mean, I kind of talked about that when we were trying to predict some episode. It may have been the Q&A. It may have been one of the episodes I've recorded recently. Just trying to figure out how long. No, it was a Q&A because somebody asked me. It may have been Hunter. How long do I think the entire series is going to be? Now that we're at this point, right? And I was like trying to predict, like just the end, like just after the because there's that old horror movie anthology series that would come over. It was some kind of trailer park dude talked. He was like Elvira, but it was a dude and he was country and it was like a trailer park dude. Maybe the trailer park. Maybe it's called the Trailer Park Boys. I can't remember. But anyway, some dude, country dude, would introduce a horror movie and then you have little comments in between commercial breaks and stuff. But he always says, when the monster is dead, the movie is over. Roll credits. As soon as you kill the monster, we don't need 10 minutes after, in a horror movie. And he's talking about horror movies. In a horror movie, we don't need 10 minutes after Michael Myers is dead. Them dealing with their trauma, getting home and calling their grandmother. We don't need any of that crap. When the monster is dead, the movie is over. This ain't going to be that. The monster's dead, and we're going to have so much movie left. Because there's going to be I predict each Straw Hat will get their own episode of closure. Full ass episode. So that's already 12 episodes, right? The ship will probably get a damn episode. Luffy's going to get a brace of episodes, He'll be probably interwoven in their stories, and then he'll get his own 5 episodes at the very end, assuming he lives. Assuming he doesn't die killing the monster. Well, if he does die, that funeral is going to be banging, man. Can you imagine how many people... look at how many people showed up to Dumbledore's funeral. How many people would show up to Luffy's funeral? Man, it'd be thousands. Like, you better have somebody taking tickets and show ushers. You better have ushers, man. Because that thing's going to be crowded. All right, moving on. Hunter, next comment is talking about... this is where I was talking about it'd be weird to have aliens. You can't even say it's weird to introduce aliens. Odo introduced aliens into the series when Enel, the whole moon thing. I don't know, man. Like, that was a cover story. I'm not saying, I know cover stories are canon. But we never get any more details. We never get any elaboration as far as I know. Like, what kind of moon is it? I don't know. I mean, like, that's a rabbit hole you could really go down. But, will aliens come into the series? Like, again, I don't even think that would be, like, I agree with Hunter. It sounds like I disagree with him. I actually agree with him. I think if you introduced the actual ass aliens, nobody's going to bat an eye. I think his story is flexible enough he can do whatever the hell he wants at this point. Because he's done some crazy shit. Time travel probably was the thing some people were going to jump off. Some people were leaving the show forever, rage quitting over time travel. That's probably a thing. That's going to be the thing. Like, if you survive time travel, I don't think there's anything else the show can introduce that's going to trip you up. So, raising the dead. You've got Brooke, but that's a one-shot deal. Naruto did the thing where they just raise the dead willy-nilly, like, exponentially, like, quite a bit. So... if you did something like that, I could see that being a problem. Like, just, okay, let's just bring back a shit ton of people that we've talked about all this time. Like, let's bring back Gold Roger. Let's bring back, Ace and Luffy's parents and just all these people that have died, that just been talked about all this stuff, and just bring them all back at once. Like, just a huge crowd of people come back like it's Avengers Endgame and they're all coming out at the same time, right? Like, just bring them all out. Like, that might break the story. Other than that, I can't think of anything you could do that would break the story. So I agree. I do agree. I just got a little bit caught up on the fact that I'm not sure I'm on board with all that, but we never really get any elaboration on it. We don't get it. It's just cover stories. You never got animated. I guess that means it's not canon to the anime. Because we have, obviously we have One Piece canon. Boom, off the top, One Piece canon. From the author flows canon. Okay, so we got that. So that's canon, right? Like, that's, whether it makes it into the anime or not, it's still canon. We can consider that. But then you have show only canon, which I guess would include the filler. If you want, a lot of people wouldn't want to explore that. But as far as that goes, that would mean the cover stories are not canon because they never, unless they get animated. Some of them have been animated, right? I don't think that one, Moon Boy, I don't think that's been animated. So that would not be show canon. So, as far as the show's concerned, he disappeared and we never saw him again, and there are no moon aliens. So, interesting to think about. Obviously, the only canon that matters is author canon, but there is a show only canon. That is a thing, right? So, a concept, anyway. All right. Here's a reminder of the Straw Hat's dreams. Now, this is going to be a really good reference thing. Right off the top, Luffy. Question mark. What is his dream? Well, somebody else said this. It may have been HIG. It may have been somebody else. His dream is that everybody can live their life the way they want to in peace and happiness. Nothing I've seen on the show contradicts that being his dream. I don't know that is his dream, but nothing I've seen contradicts that being his dream. So, I like it. Luffy would want something like that, wouldn't he? All right. Zoro, world's greatest swordsman, obviously. Nami, map the entire world. Usopp, become a brave warrior of the sea. Wasn't there something about him being able to tell stories that weren't lies? Am I crazy? Am I making that up? I thought he wanted to have real adventures. I guess it's the same thing, brave warrior of the sea, right? But have real adventures, come back and tell kids, hey, this happened, that happened, this happened, and not any of it be a lie, like it was before, right? Sanji, find the all blue. Chopper, to become a doctor that can cure all diseases. I didn't remember that one. But I remember it now you say it, but I didn't remember that was his dream. The cure all diseases, that's what it was. I remember that now. Robin, find the true history of the world. Frankie, have his ship travel the world. See, I thought it was just to make a ship for a great person. Kind of like how his pseudo-father made a ship for Gold Roger. I thought Frankie was to make a ship for a great pirate or a great person, which he's done. But this is a little bit more complicated than that. He's made the ship for a great person, but if it's to have his ship sail the world, we're not quite there yet. So that's a continuing dream, but he's well on his way. Brooke, reunite with Laboon. I don't remember that being his dream. That's a goal. Is there a difference between a goal and a dream? Dreams can be goals, and goals can be dreams, but I think there is a difference. I don't know that it matters, but that's a pretty narrow, limited dream, But hopefully that happens someday. I remember that reveal. When we found out his crew was the crew that Laboon was waiting for, I think I got emotional. That was crazy. That was a crazy-ass reveal. That was nuts. This show never fails to surprise, man. It really does. It pulls out these cool-ass details, man. Jimby, his isn't officially stated, but looking at the themes fishmen explore, it's most likely racial equality for fishmen. Yeah, I agree. And he must believe that Luffy's the one that can get him there, right? And I think he's probably right about that. I think Luffy is the one who can get him there. All right. Yeah, thanks for that wrap-up, because it's good to have it in one place I can come back and refer to it. When the five elders talked about the devil fruits evading them, when the five elders talked about the devil fruits evading them and having a will of their own, they specified it as only the mythical Zoan fruits. I think if the power of the god is put into a fruit, it probably will have a will of its own. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I've never delved into, like, I know it's Paramecian and Logia and Zoan, I guess. And I've never really delved into, like, what the hell the difference is between those. I know they mean three different things. There are three kinds of fruits. There's the animal fruits, there's the fluid fruits, and then there's the everything else fruits, I guess. And Zoan, I assume, is the kind of, the rubber fruit, the kind that Luffy took, right? I don't remember. Like, I don't want to look it up because there could be like a secret fourth type of fruit that comes out, like, next episode. And if I just waited, that wouldn't have been revealed to me, right? Like, so I'm trying to not spoil myself until I get to the leading edge of the anime. And even then, you have to worry about manga spoilers, right? So even then, I'll be a little nervous. But so that's why I've never like looked up. Okay, this is this kind of fruit, and that means this, and this is this kind of fruit, and that means that. I'm just aware there's three kinds. So, but it is interesting that there's this one kind, only the one kind, that seems to be blessed by the gods, right? And the other two kinds are whatever. You all can enjoy those if you want to, but whatever, who cares? But yeah. Food of the Gods would definitely have its own will, wouldn't it? If the show's telling you Sanji and Zoro are around the same power level, then it's probably true, and you're just a Sanji hater. Zoro's been my favorite character before, and I still believe Sanji is around the same skill level as Zoro. You're just a delusional Sanji hater. Okay, I mean, look, the joke is I hate Sanji. I understand that. Really, like, if we're keeping it a buck, jokes aside, let's put the jokes aside for a second. I don't hate Sanji. I don't like that he's a one-note character and that he's one gag. Even though the physical comedy makes me laugh when he starts waving, I laugh. And also let's say the vocal artist, the Japanese voiceover artist, is a genius. He really knows how to do that, man. That tone of voice when he gets all wavy and crazy is fantastic. He's got one of the best voiceover actors ever, the Japanese guy. Zora's voiceover actress is okay. Sanji's, well, probably my favorite is Luffy's voiceover actress, just because, my God, she's a genius. The noises she has him make, just fantastic. Just unparalleled. I would put Sanji's right below her, right? Like, that's how good he is. He's just, the range that we can see this person make with this character. So, there's that. Like, it's fun to, pretend I hate him, and fun to hate on him, I guess is what I'm going to say. Not even pretend to hate him. And to be honest, like, he hasn't really been doing the sexual harassment bag. Like, I think we've caught up to Me Too at this point. So, I don't know if that reached Japan, if they heard anything about that and maybe made people think about what they're doing here. Probably not, because they're their own culture over there. They do what the hell they want. They don't care what America's doing. So, I don't know. And it's probably more that the Straw Hats just don't get the attention anymore that, they should be getting, that they used to get. So when the Straw Hats were getting the attention, then he would have more screen time and he'd be doing more of the sexual harassment shit, right? And it was just tedious, man. It's just not a thing I find funny. I don't find fart jokes funny, and I don't find, ooh, she's so hot, let me go nuts funny, man. It's just, we have this sense of humor. It's a cultural thing. The nose bleeding thing, I will never understand. That is hilarious. The leader, the protagonist of Seven Deadly Sins is one of the biggest sexual harassers out there. I hate him. I hate that about him. I don't hate him. He's a very charming character, but I hate that he does that. And I heard that in Normies, a lot of them quit watching the show because of that. Because it was just tedious. It's uncomfortable to watch, right? So, but they've dialed it down. So, most of the time I'm just having fun hating on him. I don't actually hate the character, And we are just talking about fictional characters here. We're debating the power levels of fictional characters. There is no more stupid conversation anybody could ever have than, hey, can this fictional character kick this other fictional character's ass. It's a stupid ass conversation. But we're here. It's fun. So, no, I don't hate Sanji, you know. There's not many characters I actually hate. Like, there's a few. There are a few. But other than that, there's not many characters I hate. I don't hate Sanji. My problem with this conversation, and this is the simplest way I know to phrase it, okay? Sanji's primary skill, the thing he has spent the most time developing, is cooking. He is a better cook than anybody in the world. Which means fighting is at least the second best thing he can do. He's a better cook than he is a fighter, okay? No question about it. Like, nobody will say he's a better fighter than a cook. He has spent most of his time, his talent, that's the reason he doesn't use his hands when he fights. He spent most of his time and all of his talent is cooking. He's a cooking genius. He's not a fighting genius. He's a cooking genius. So, at best, fighting is his second best skill. What's Zoro known for? Zoro's best skill is fighting. It's the only thing. We don't even know if he has another skill. What is Zoro's second best skill? Drinking? Being able to hold his drink? Napping? I don't know. Does anybody know? Does he write poetry? Like, what is his second best skill? We don't know. His best skill is fighting. So, for you to say that Sanji and Zoro are at the same level, you're saying Sanji's second best talent is as good or better than Zoro's best talent. Does that make any sense? So this, I was kissing the writer's ass earlier. If the writer is saying these two people are equal fighters, then the writer made a mistake. Because that doesn't make sense. Or Zoro's just not a very good fighter. If his best skill is only equal to Sanji's second best skill. So I'm saying it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that they're equal. Because that's what Zoro's known for. And I will die on it. So it's a writing thing. It's bad writing to say that somebody's second best skill is as good as this person's best skill, especially when this person's trying to become the best fighter in the world. The best sword fighter in the world is what he's trying to be. So if you're saying they're equal, and I said this in my comment to him, then Zoro can never be the world's best swordsman. He can't do it. You can't have it both ways. Either he's the world's best swordsman, which means he's better than Sanji, or Sanji is equal to him, which means he's never going to be the world's best swordsman. Like, what am I missing here? Like, Sanji, his best talent is cooking. His second best talent is fighting. So if his second best talent is as good as Zoro's best talent, if they're equal, then Zoro ain't shit. Or at least he's much weaker than the show is presented to be. Like, you know, the writer's trying to have it both ways, is what he's trying to do. The writer wants to have it both ways. 3 ways, really. The writer's really trying to have it 3 ways. Zoro's going to be the best swordsman in the world, but Sanji's equal to him, even though Sanji's best talent is cooking, not fighting. Now, this would not even be a conversation if Sanji was like the best boxer in the world and Zoro's the best swordsman in the world. They're both trying, that's what their goals are. Okay, it's both martial arts. It's the same playing field. Like, they both were in the martial arts arena. And yeah, you know, it's kind of like when an MMA fighter fights a boxer. If it's in a boxing ring, the boxer's going to win. If it's in an MMA ring, the MMA fighter's going to win. That deal. So, yeah, if there's swords, then the swordsman's going to win. If it's fists, then the fisticuffs guy's going to win, right? So what I'm saying here is what my interpretation of what we see on screen is. Zoro's not serious. He actually he probably loves Sanji, and Sanji loves him. And so their affection is bickering and fighting. So when they fight each other, it's not serious. Zoro's not serious about fighting Sanji. So it's equal because Sanji might even be giving almost his all. Probably not, because we don't see like the hockey and the flaming foot and all that stuff. We just see regular fighting, right? But if he was giving his all, Zoro would have just enough to be equal to him. But there's a lot more he could pull out, right? Fighting-wise. So it's affectionate fighting. That's why they look even, right? And so I'm just, you know, there's no way in the world, whatever the hell the author says and whatever the story says, there's no way I'll ever believe they're equal fighters, or then Zoro just is not a very good fighter. You know, so I've explained why. So that's what I'm saying. And this isn't coming from me being a Sanji hater. It's coming from me being a writer. Like, this is how you set this shit up. You've set up the Sanji's primary focus is cooking. Zoro's primary focus is fighting. Zoro has spent so many hundreds of hours training to fight. Those hundreds of hours Sanji was spent training to cook. He has some fighting skills. He's a pretty good fighter, but he would never be on Zoro's level. The training disparity is immense. So if there's with that level of training disparity, if they're on the same fighting level, then Zoro is weak. Is what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense, right? Does anybody think that makes sense? What I'm saying is that, to me, it doesn't make any sense. The writer's trying to have it both ways. And so this is one of the rare mistakes I think we'll say the writer is. Although I don't really think it's a mistake. I think it's just been misinterpreted by the fans. I think the writer is just having them affectionately fight so they look even. But they're not fighting for real. You'll never find out. If you love your siblings, you're never going to find out who's actually the better wrestler because you're never going to fight that seriously. It'll be a tie most of the time, right? You're never actually going to try to kill each other. So, and that's not something you'd want to find out either, really. But yeah, no, I think if it was a serious fight, Zoro would curb stomp him, or he's just not the fighter we think he was. That's all I'm saying. This is Power of Death. One TV show I thought nailed the ending was Breaking Bad. Edit, you brought up Breaking Bad like 10 minutes after I posted this comment. I really should finish the video before commenting. No, you shouldn't. Because this gets me more comments. Because you wouldn't have commented. And I need comments. And then I said, hey, comments help the algo. And then somebody else says, this is SWAT Gaming for you. Or SWAT Gaming 44, something like that. My old eyes. Honestly, Vince in general, because Better Call Saul had a perfect ending too. Well, don't watch my reactions to Better Call Saul, because I hated the ending. I hated the last season. Let's not go there. But hey, I will say this. It was well done. And a lot of people liked it, and I don't blame them for liking it. This wasn't, any of the Dexter series finales. So, this wasn't the X-Files series finale. This wasn't, what are some other shitty finales? Battlestar Galactica finale. This wasn't those things. But this wasn't Game of Thrones. Jesus. So, this shit actually made sense. It made sense. I just didn't like the choices. And that's the thing. We can agree to disagree with that. But you can't say something's bad just because you would have done a different writing choice. I didn't like the writing choices. So, that's just a me thing. As I vocalize this, I realize I may have said it was bad, but really, I just didn't personally like the writing choices they made. But they were not bad choices because they were telling their story. They weren't telling my story. They didn't call me and ask my opinion. So, Yeah, Vince is a genius. Has he done anything else? Like, did he just retire? I mean, he's probably made enough money he could. Let me see what he's doing these days. It's been years since Better Call Saul. Like, at least a couple, right? He's only 58, man. Get your ass to work. Better Call Saul finished in 2022? Jesus. Doesn't feel like it's been that long. Holy shit. So it's even... You tell me he took 3 years off? You see that sometimes. Like the dude that did Mad Men took a long time off. Now, David Chase, who did Sopranos, he was just old. So, that's a thing. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything... Wow. Get your ass to work, dude. I mean, you do the work because you love the work, not for the money. If somebody handed me $1 million tomorrow, I would still do reactions because I love it. I love the interactions. I love the reacting. I would just have better staff. I'd have better production. My shit would be in 4K. I'd have editors. I could just come in and do my reactions and F off, right? So, I would just... That'd be the life, but I would still do reactions because I love doing them. Yeah, I would write because I love writing, but doing Breaking Bad and then El Camino mixed in there and then Better Call Saul back to back to back. Although I don't think he had as much involvement with Better Call Saul. He wasn't the daily showrunner for Better Call Saul. Still, he was heavily involved. That run, I think, started in 2007, 2008, somewhere, up to 2022. That's a lot of work. I can understand taking a couple years off, but damn, dude. Get your ass back to work. That's all I'm saying. What the hell's he doing? Some cosmic powers are at play here. This is from Ruji. Some cosmic powers at play here because I'm on season 15, episode 18 of Supernatural, and you just ripping the ending a new one. Oh boy. Well, by now, since that was 10 days ago, you have finished the series, and you know what I'm talking about. Because fuck that ending. Fuck that show. Fuck that last season. I mean, I love the rest of it. Shit, I can't say it 3 times. Shit, what am I going to do? Well, I guess I'm going to see if they ding me. And then I'll take 2 of them out. I mean, we're only going to count the first one. Well, whatever. Nobody's won yet, so we'll count all 3. But, like, timestamp wise. Imagine if you predicted, but you got just past the first F-bomb. Imagine if you were, like, literally, like, 10 seconds past the F-bomb. Because if you go over, it doesn't count, right? Then those other 2 would have got you. You would have got it. Okay, I'll count all 3. But, God, what a terrible ass last season. Terrible. Awful. I should have mentioned that when I was talking about shitty season finales, like literally just 5 minutes ago. Alright, well, that's all for the One Piece. Well, that's all for the One Piece comments. Let's go to the other comments. This is taking forever. Okay. Hunter Stone, I got an ad recently to one of your unlisted One Piece reactions. So, yes, they do get ads. Okay, well, that answers that question. I was wondering about that. Of course they're going to try to get their money. Give me that goddamn money. Got to wet the beak, man. That beak ain't going to wet itself. I didn't dislike Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just think it's only okay. It's just people think it's one of the greatest cartoons and a must-watch, and I think the over-exaggerating how good it is. Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, right? You know, and I think that it amazes me that Andy saw Yu as an adult, right? Because like you get those nostalgia glasses when you watch something as a kid. Now he had seen Naruto as a kid, so there was nostalgia glasses there. But I think here is people watch it as a kid, and then that nostalgia never goes away. You know, I've never watched an episode of Airwolf or Knight Rider, A-Team, Magnum P.I., Simon & Simon. I've never watched any of that crap as an adult because I don't want to ruin the love I have for those shows. Buck Rogers. I know the second season of Buck Rogers was rancid yak shit. It sucked. But I can't prove it because I have never watched it as an adult. So there's a little bit of mystery there, you know. That's all we can ask for. Just a little bit of nostalgia and mystery, you know. So that, you know, so I think it's nostalgia with that Last Airbender. I think that's the only reason anybody can stomach it, you know. I'm kidding. It's too young for me, man. I tried to watch it. It's just too goddamn young. I might try again someday. You know, pay me and I will. You know, I'll try next week. You know, but the humor is just too young for me, and so I think that like when you watch it the first time, it's fine. And there's also some shit when they did the live action. Did they do like a live action TV series, and it bombed because they changed a bunch of shit. But one of the things they changed, I can't remember. I didn't really read much about it, but like they changed the personality of one of the characters because he was misogynist or something. And the whole point was he had a character arc. So he started out as a misogynist, and then by the end of the series, he wasn't. But you have to start him as a misogynist. And the live action didn't do that. They didn't want him to be a misogynist, so they take that away. So now he won't have a character arc. He'll just have a line. That's really stupid. Really, really stupid. So yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know that you necessarily need to change any of that. Like, if you do a live action, I don't think you need to change everything about it that made it juvenile and infantile and all that stuff and childish. Just let it be what it is, but it's just not for some of us. That's all, you know. It's all relative. This is D4C YouTube Premium. There's reports coming out that they're going to add ads to it. Also, to be fair to Pongriff, Aladdin had not come out yet. Well, yeah, that's true. Dumbass. Oh, no. Sorry. We're trying to be fair to him. We're trying to be fair to that sniveling moron. That incredible, brain damaged idiot. We're trying to be fair to him. Wow, what a dumbass. No, Aladdin hadn't come out yet, but like, didn't we know that the genies were scary and tricky even before Aladdin? Was it Alibaba and the 40 Thieves? Or was it something else? There was a group of stories that I read. I can't remember the name of it. I think Alibaba and the 40 Thieves might have just been one of the stories. I can't remember what the collection was called. But there were some cautionary tales about Genie, what I guess are actually supposed to be called Jinn, in those in the 80s that I remember reading before Aladdin came out. But does Pongriff look like somebody who reads books, especially Middle Eastern mythology books? No, he doesn't. So, is there any Mother Goose or Brothers Grimm stories that give, or Aesop fables that warn you be careful what you wish for? There's a monkey paw story. Surely he's seen some kind of adaptation of the monkey paw, right? So that's possible. Be careful what you wish for, man. That's a pretty common truism. But he's not a well-read dude, which just adds to his idiocy. So, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's true, Aladdin hadn't come out yet. So that's probably what really popularized it. Like, I remember reading stories about genies before that. But that probably popularized it to a large extent. It's hard to remember now. Like, before something became big, did you know about it? What was the deal? I did. Because I remember reading those stories in the 80s. But before Groundhog Day, did anybody know about repeating day stories? Well, Star Trek Next Generation did a repeating day story the year before Groundhog Day came out. 1201 was a short story about repeating day stories, actually a repeating hour. That was written in the 60s. But did anybody know about it? Was it popularized? Groundhog Day popularized the genre. Popularized it. And that's what Aladdin did. So until Aladdin comes along, most people are not going to know about it. So they probably won't even know about Be Careful What You Wish For. So, we'll consider him 5% less of a dumbass. Pending what happens the rest of season 2. Or his second season. As far as YouTube Premium, those blood-sucking bastards. They already raised the price on it. That $14 a month may not sound like much to you, but like that's a lot of money for me. And that's a hit. It's really $15 because they had to change to it, right? I paid it a couple days ago and I got my notification from the bank. Your bank balance is in the negative. You better do something within 24 hours or we're going to bust your head wide open, right? They give you a 24-hour grace period to get your money right. That happened just a couple days ago, so I just paid it again. $15 goddamn dollars a month. And they want to add, there were ads on there too. It used to be 10, man, when I first started using it. $10 a month. That was it. Now it's 15. And now they're going to throw some ads on there. Kiss my big fat ass. You blood-sucking bastards. Oh my God, man. It's just, I get it. We're all trying to get paid on these streets, This from Hunter. Dragon Ball is basically the father of all anime. Most anime was inspired somewhat by Dragon Ball, so that's why a lot of the protagonists are as dumb like Goku. Yeah, I've watched anime that came out before that, like Tomorrow Joe, for instance, and the anime I watched as a kid, Star Blazers. And there's some other stuff, Fortress Macros I'm watching now, it came out, and then there was another one about, I think it's called ViFam. A bunch of, Paul has me watching a bunch of anime that was from the 80s. I don't know when Dragon Ball came out. But it seems like it was before, none of the protagonists in those are morons, by the way. So, again, we're talking about popularizing a genre, right? Like, I think you're right. I think that's what did it. It's like, hey, people watch this. You're like, hey, it's funny if your main character is a moron, because if you think about it, how often does that actually happen? Forrest Gump. What was that police show? Mayberry. The hell was that called? Andy Griffin Show. Okay, so he wasn't the protagonist. The dumbass on that show was not the protagonist. Andy Griffin was smart. his deputy was a moron. But I think they did a spinoff at some point and had the moron do his own show, right? Whatever the hell his name was. I don't remember. But that happened. And those things probably inspired the guy who did Dragon Ball Z, right? Like if you ever watched any American television. Because it's unique. It's not very common to have your main protagonist be a moron. But it was a couple. It wasn't Peter Bailey. What the hell was the name of that show? He went to the Marines or some shit, right? He left Andy Griffin, and he went to the Marines. And he was a true blue dumbass. Whatever the hell that was. That kind of thing, could have inspired Dragon Ball Z for all we know. At least, the idea that your protagonist can be a moron. But it is kind of funny. It feels like we've gone away from that train. Because when I was doing my rant about it, then I realized, I was like, well, I can't think of any modern examples of that, really. I mean, we're talking about people so dumb they can barely dress themselves. So, that's a problem. You can't do that. Dragon Slayer, this is from Ariel, is considered a shonen anime, mostly geared towards young teenage boys. But of course, all ages and genders can and do enjoy it. As is Black Clover. Most of the anime you watch, you've already watched, fall into the category. Like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Seven Deadly Sins, etc. Both of these shows do have some good female characters as well. Apaka 3 Diaries, whatever the hell that is hard to pin down. As far as anime genres, it's kind of shoujo for young women and having romance elements. But with shinen, more adult, mature leanings, some other descriptors are historical drama, intrigue, slice-of-life, thriller, mystery, usually with a medical bent, or just using analytical, logical reasoning. I haven't watched more of the Amica MD, but I feel like AD is less of a on-the-nose house, or maybe Sherlock Holmes in a different time geographical setting, with more of a medical focus. Yeah, I need to watch more of that too. Just, with all the spare time I have. I like that you don't look too closely at the short descriptions for a series you might watch, so you can go in as blind as possible. I do try to be super, super blind. Basically take my glasses off, and that's how I go into the series. Like even Beastars, I have no idea what the hell that's about. And I probably won't even remember ever having heard of it by the time I get around to watching it. So that's how that goes. But it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Most of what is said is revealed in the first couple episodes and have no specific spoilers far beyond that. True, but I'm trying to, I try to live my life as ignorantly as possible. All right, this is Joseph Joestar. Oh my God! Wait, is that the one? I love his catchphrase. If that's the grandpa, it may be one of the others. We've got 3 so far, but one of the old man is like, "Oh my God!" That's definitely his catchphrase. Cracking me up, man. It's so funny. You gotta put some timestamps, man. Here's the thing. You want me to do more work so that you can watch less of my shit. I'll think about it. This is Barracuda. Attack on Titan is dangerous to upload. I think people can't even watch it live on Twitch because you can get banned. Yeah, well, I'm not touching that then. I ain't doing that shit. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. There's going to have to be a decision point here. Probably within a year. I'm going to have to make a decision. I'm about 30... Well, let me see. It's 100 gig is 5 weeks. So 15 weeks... I'm going to have to delete some more, and I'm deleting movies right now because it's easy to just put on Google Drive if somebody wants to see them, right? But at some point, it's going to have to be a series. I've got at least 15 weeks before I have to worry about it, probably more. So, you know me, I'm not going to worry about something until I have to worry about it. I don't know, this is also Barracuda. I don't know how YouTube works. Could you upload an unedited reactions to YouTube and make them private without getting into trouble of getting copyright strikes? And I talk about here, no, it gets checked upon upload before you even indicate whether it's private or not. Basically, if you have more than 5 seconds straight of a show, it gets blocked. That's why you'll see frequent cuts to the source video in my edited reactions. Yeah, that's the thing. It's and matter of fact, I even tried to with the trailer reactions. The trailer reactions are always get demonetized, just always off the top. No, you can't make any money off these, which is wild because people re-upload these trailers, the full ass trailer. Which I know I had the full trailer, but I'm talking over it, so I would think that would be different. I modify it, I change it, but people will take the trailer from like Paramount and just put it on their channel, the entire ass trailer. I guess that gets demonetized. So why do it, right? I'm not saying everything you do should be for money, but why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. For the trailer reactions, they always get demonetized. So last time, a couple days ago, when I uploaded it, I immediately clicked no for monetization. I said no monetization. Don't even check for monetization, right? I just clicked no. It still blocked it for monetization. Like, after it finished writing the checks, it's like, no, MFer. Now, you ain't going to try to circumvent. You can't circumvent the system. We're going to come in here and take this away from you. And what happens is when you can't monetize it, they gray out and block out the button so you can't mess with it. I guess because, like, if I said no monetization, later, a week later, I could turn it on. And they're going to be like, no, we're going to lock the door. We're going to make sure you can't ever do that. So they came in and said, and I hate it because it's like a big red blob, right? It looks like it's infected. And so, like, when I'm looking at all my videos, it's green if it's monetized. It's just regular gray if it's not monetized, and it's red if it's been demonetized. And red's just ugly. Man, it looks like an infection. It's like some of my videos are infected. I don't like it. It's just OCD. It drives me crazy. Rather not see it. But, you know, they don't give you a choice. They're kind of hardcore about that shit. So, the fact that trailers are advertisements, I don't know. I mean, you know, you think you'd want it as wide as possible because you're trying to advertise the effing movie. You know, it's like somebody putting up a billboard in their yard that helps you. Like your billboard for your tax company or your lawyer company. Hey, if you get in a wreck, call this number. If I just take a picture of it, print the picture out, put it in my yard to advertise for you for free of my own free will, no lawyer's going to be driving through here seeing that and say, hey, take that down. No, I didn't say you could use that. I didn't say you could do that. Take that down. Now, if they draw a penis on his forehead, he would say that. If they alter it in any way to make fun of him or, you know, change the number to somebody else's number, yeah, they're going to have a problem with it. But if it's just an exact duplicate put in the yard helping advertise your product, then nobody's going to have a problem with that. No rational person, actual human-ass being with a functioning brain is going to have a problem with you promoting something from that they're trying to advertise. They're trying to promote this movie. They are out here. The purpose of a trailer is to promote a movie and get people to go in there and watch the effing movie. That's the purpose of a trailer. You want it in as many places as possible. You want 500 YouTube channels to have this trailer. Why are you limiting people? And I know it's some obscure technical lawyer crap. If they, you know, like what happened to Xerox. If you don't protect your brand, then you're not allowed to sue people later when they take advantage of you because you didn't do it in these other 17 cases. You have to be forceful and you have to protect your brand every single time it happens or you can't sue somebody later. I know that. I understand the reason. I know the answer to my question I'm asking. I understand that. I still think it's stupid. It's really stupid. Like, it's dumb, man. You know, and I don't even think the law would apply there because, like, we're just talking about the specific use case of a trailer. A trailer is an advertisement. So, just because you didn't protect your trademark and your copyright for a trailer, you're still allowed to protect your copyright for the actual movie. Those are two different things. You got a trailer is one thing, and the movie is a completely separate thing. I think the law and a judge would see it that way. Just because you didn't protect the trailer doesn't mean you're not allowed to protect the movie. That's how I see it. So I think they're just idiotic. You know, let us help you advertise your stupid ass movie. But anyway, yeah, it's not a thing. You can't game the system. They're not going to let you. All right, next. I don't even think I've talked about the podcast topic yet. But it is going to be the worst anime parents we have ever seen. So there's one comment on the poll. It ended up tying. It tied modern anime below why old anime is better. Very nice. that's their name, they left a very nice comment. You are really doing this for the love of the game, brother. I don't know what the hell that means. It's true, I am doing this for the love of the game. I just would like to know what prompted that. Are they saying... the way I took this was, I don't have very many subscribers. I'm not making any money. So everything I do is just because I love the game. That's what the phrase love of the game means, right? You know, so my shitty little tiny ass channel, the fact that I put out as much content as I do, means I must really love what I do, because I'm sure as hell not making any money off of it. Well, I'm making a little bit, you know. I don't think it's necessarily true. But yes, it is for the love of the game. I'm just not sure I understand what you're saying here. So I'm going to find a way to take it the most negative way possible, which is what I just did. So there we are. All right. Let's see here. Now, the rest of the comments are going to be for the parents. So we will wait for that. So yeah, I think I'm finally able to move on to something beyond the comments. This feels like this has been quite a while. All right. Anime episode highlight this time is going to be Gintama episode 11. Now, technically this came out before the last podcast, but I had recorded the last podcast before I watched this episode, so it still qualifies. Episode 11 of Gintama. By the way, Gintama, we'll talk about this later, is the funniest thing I've ever watched in my life. Not just the funniest anime, the funniest thing. And I've seen the movie Airplane. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. In episode 11, I started laughing so badly, so strongly, that I had to stop my recording twice because I was laughing so hard. Twice. I've never had to do that before, like for anything. Like I'm trying to think. Like there are comedy movies I've watched. There's a lot of times I've had to stop once. Like even in True Detective season 1, the final episode, I had to stop and back it up. You know, there's a lot of times I've had to stop once. I've never had to stop twice. That's how funny it was. The first time, it's so unhinged, man. The nurse comes in because they're talking loudly in the hospital room, right? The nurse comes in and tells them to shut the hell up. And they basically trash talk her. So she throws a full bedpan at their faces. 2. It wouldn't have been as funny if it was just 1. 2. She had 2 full bedpans in her hands, and she threw them at their faces, hit them both right in the face. And you saw the piss come out and soak them. And I just could not stop laughing. One of the funniest, most unhinged things I've ever seen in my life. Just so many different reasons why that's funny. The fact that she's a nurse, the fact it happened in a hospital room, the fact that like you have to whip somebody's ass if they throw a full bedpan at you. You know, just the amount of rage she must have been feeling to do that to them. Unbelievable, man. Like, I was just dying laughing. And then the second time, the redheaded psycho on the show had this long, very suspiciously specific rant. I don't even remember what it was about. It was something about some kind of classmate or something of hers. And it took forever, and the longer she talked, the more funny it got. And I finally lost it at the end of her monologue. It was just absolutely hilarious. That show, and I've watched another, that was episode 11. I've watched all the way up to 18, I think, now. It just gets funnier and funnier. That is one funny-ass show. If you haven't seen that, and see, Great Teacher Asinka was the funniest anime I'd ever seen. I'm pretty sure. That or Kaguya-sama Love is War. They're both really funny for very different reasons. This one's just funny. This beats them all. It's hard to imagine, but it does. So, yeah, that's the best episode of anime I've seen. I've seen a lot of good shit, but that's the best anime I've seen over this past 2 weeks. Alright, so that'll bring us to the main topic, but after the break. So, you know the picture I used for the post because you have to use an image. You can't just post text. They want it to be a poll, a video, or an image. So you have to use an image if you want to ask a question. So the image I used was Happy Father's Day showing that piece of shit. That complete and total rancid, rotting piece of shit from Fullmetal Alchemist. That has traumatized an entire generation of anime watchers, apparently. Like, me too. Man, like, that really rocked me to my core when that happened. Like, I remember when I reacted to those episodes. It was a voice they used for the girl. like the transformed girl. The voice they used was like the perfect voice. I still have nightmares about that shit. It was just awful. It was so bad. It just there's there are awful people in this world who do awful things, but there seems to be something that we have as a race, the normal people, the not terrible. I mean, we're all bad in our own ways, right? But the not completely terrible people in the world. We think that when you do something to somebody you're supposed to have a connection to, that's so much worse. When you hurt or kill a family member, as opposed to hurting or killing a stranger. We just see it differently. It's the same act. It's still horrible either way. But when you do it to a family member, to a spouse, to a parent, to children, just, it hits different. It feels different. Would it have been better if he had used some other girl down the street? He'd already done his wife. That was the implication, right? It would have been the same heinous act, but something about the fact that he was the father and she was the child, it made it so much worse. And then the pet, too. The pet didn't help. The fact that it was also they were having fun with the pet, the dog. And so the dog got folded into this shit. It made it so much worse. So, yeah, he's, he's definitely the star of the show when it comes to terrible ass dads. I think he would win the poll if he did any poll for terrible ass dads, he would win every time, right? So, I think I did some polls a year or two ago, the worst anime father. I just remembered that. I think I did the whole cycle. I did worst anime dad, worst anime mom, worst anime sibling, worst anime spouse. It was a while ago though, because I just now remember that. All right, we've got some comments here from Kazemp. Dr. Chobi from Steins Gate that cursed her as dead. He did not want her to succeed, and he tried killing her because he was jealous. Yeah, that dude was a complete piece of shit. I talked about this during those reactions, but I'll talk about it here too. I've always believed, and I'm not a parent, I'm a child. And I believe as a child, I've had this argument with people on Blue Sky. Just because I'm not a parent doesn't mean I can't talk about child raising and talk about good parenting, because I was a child. I saw it from the other angle. I have the experience as a child to know good and bad parenting because I had parents who parented me when I was a child. Yeah. No, I don't have children of my own, so I can't speak from that point of view, but I can speak to what sucks as a child and bad decisions parents make. The best example I can give is I would ask my mom why she gave an order, and she'd be like, I gave it because I'm the parent and you're the child. That's it. It's a really closed off, stupid ass rationalization for you wanting your kids to do something. I would rather they just say, I'm not answering your questions or something, because it was just so patronizing, because I'm the adult and you're the child. As an adult, I think that sucks. You should be able to explain yourself if you give an order. You should always have a reason for giving orders, or don't give them. That's the way I've always believed as a leader. As a leader of people, have a reason for the orders you give or don't give the orders. It's that simple, man. So, if you have a reason and you can tell people what the reason is, you don't have to hide behind I'm the parent, you're the child. So that would be something, that's bad parenting. Even though I'm not a parent, I can say that. Anyway, I believe a parent should want their children to be better than them. If the child goes in the same field, a parent should want the child to be a better doctor than they ever were a doctor. You should want that. Some don't. Some don't want that because they don't want their legacy tarnished by the fact that the son was better. Hank Williams Jr. was a better singer and a more successful singer than his father. His father was really good, but Hank Williams Jr. was more successful just for the fact that he didn't kill himself with drugs at the age of 30 or whatever the hell it was. I think if Hank Williams Sr. was a good parent, he'd be happy that his child exceeded him. You should want that. But I know that there are people in this world, they don't want their children to exceed them. They don't want their children to do better than them, and that's just shitty parenting. So that's another reason he's shitty. It's just his motivations. You can't be smarter than me because that makes me look bad. It makes you look good, man. Your child exceeded you, makes you look good. However good you are, if your child's better, then everybody benefits. The rising water raises all boats, man. That's how it is. You look better because your child is awesome. That's how it is. And you just and even if that wasn't the case, parents should be proud of their children and be happy that their children succeed them. So it's only the shittiest, terriblest ass parents who don't want that. Asshole. But yeah, that dude, man. That depiction, holy shit. That depiction was something else, man. Like that the way they animated and the writing and the vocal performances of that interaction between him and her, my God. And in fact, he killed her. Oh, my God. Just the effing worst, man. It was nauseating. That's how good a job they did with that. It was actually nauseating. Like, bravo to the writers and the producers and the showrunners, because they did a great job, because I wanted to throw up. Like, that's how good that was. So, God, what a piece of shit. So, yeah. Hate that son of a bitch. Alright, moving on, we've got Big Wingus Spingus. Full points for Nate. Probably the third best name I've ever read. Ugh. Dario Brandi, Dio's dad, from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This man raised the most evil man in the world. Dario made Dio hate him so much that he even poisoned his own dad. Dario's lack of fatherhood led to Dio to burn Jonathan's dog and do many other things I don't think I can say here. You can say whatever you want. I may not be able to say it because I'll get demonetized. I don't think you're worried about your comments being monetized. And by the way, I've had all censorship taken off all my comments. So there's a couple, you can't use like hate speech. There's a couple words you probably would get your comment removed for automatically. I'll probably never even see the comment, so every now and then somebody complains about something and I never see it. Because it puts it in a folder if it's objectionable. But there may be like a super secret folder for the absolute worst words you can use or whatever. Like you put the recipe for C4 on here. I'll probably never see it in that folder. Or you go into a special folder that goes straight to the FBI. I don't know. Anyway, that's the point. It's been so long since I started JoJo, I forgot that dude, man, like he did that. He burned a dog. Jesus, that was messed up. Remember the first couple episodes in where I thought the anime was just going to be about two guys bullying each other and not getting along as a family? But yeah, the dad was terrible. He was even terrible because wasn't he robbing a corpse or something? He was trying to rob people that had just died, and then they thought he was trying to help. Like the dad thought he was trying to help the mom or something, and so befriended him, and then that's how Dio came to live with him in the first place, right? That's how terrible the dad was. Complete and total trash. Then we've got Judge, Sanji's dad on One Piece. Locks Sanji up, didn't show any care for him, and then comes out of nowhere using him as a pawn to marry Pudding. Well, anytime you try to get me to marry Pudding, you're automatically a terrible parent. Because pudding sucks. Tapioca pudding is the worst, but all pudding sucks. There is no good pudding. I'll hear no other words on that. I mean, I don't want to drink my goddamn dessert. Runny ass, syrupy ass, gravy ass dessert. This ain't no effing dessert. That ain't dessert, man. Dessert is solid. Dessert has substance and texture. Dessert doesn't look like baby shit. So no. Making me marry the worst dessert on the planet? Yeah, you're a terrible father. I hate her name in case you couldn't figure it out. This is a good one. This also from Kismet. King Fresis or whatever. Jing Fresis? Whatever. Gone's dad from the Hunter x Hunter. King of deadbeat dads left his kid and wasn't interested in never seeing him, and then made him go through dangerous challenges like Greed Island to test if Gon was good enough to see him. Now, here's the thing. Apparently, I've been told this secondhand, so I don't know this for a fact. there is a revelation in the manga that puts this into a different context. Doesn't really make Ging, whatever his name is, doesn't make him a better person, but it does put it into more context. I'm not going to spoil the plot point. But I don't know that this fits. You'll just, you'll have to explore that yourself. But, like, if what I heard is true, I don't think it fits. But, yeah, he's still a terrible person. And then this is from SW, basically like SWAT Gaming, I think 44 is what this is. But SWAT Gaming had probably already been taken, so they had to put a 4 instead of an A, right? He replied to that and said, also, even worse father from the same series, Gyro's father. I don't even remember who the hell Gyro is. I guess I'm going to have to look that one up. I've never seen this person before in my life. Who the hell is this? Who the hell is this? Maybe I'll put in Gyro's father and that'll ring a bell. Nope. Never seen him before either. Yeah, I don't know who the hell that is. Apparently it's time for me to rewatch Hunter x Hunter. I've been wanting to, I'll be honest with you. First anime I ever watched for the channel. It's over on the other channel, by the way, in case you're curious. Alright, well, those are the fathers. Now, here's the thing. It's boring to just do a list of terrible fathers. We all know who they are. Like, we all know who the worst father is. So what we're really talking about here is, what's the point? When you're in a story, why make a terrible father? Well, I think we already touched on it at the beginning of this conversation. I talked about how if the dude in Fullmetal Alchemist, I've got his face right here. She's hugging him, Happy Father's Day, love you, all that stuff. Just the picture really cracks me up. It's terrible. It makes me feel bad, so I enjoy it. Oh my God! Just whoever made this as a Father's Day card they need to be taken out in the street and shot. That is terrible. Oh man. Anyway, looking at it's distraction. I'm gonna have to get off the screen. I can't look at it. The fact that he did that to his own daughter is worse than if he'd done it to the exact same age girl down the street, right? We agree on that? That's why you do it. And so they're trying to provoke the audience. They're trying to, you create instant villain by having a parent do something terrible to a child. Instant villainy. Like, the only way to make a better villain just automatically make somebody hate somebody. Make the audience hate somebody. Have them kick a dog. Slap a baby. There's almost nothing else you can do. Almost nothing else you can do to just instantly make the audience hate him. So it's like it's almost like too easy. So you use it sparingly. Like, say you write 3 series in your lifetime as a manga, guess writer, artist goes together in manga, right? So you create 3 series. You should probably only have 2 truly terrible parents divided amongst the 3 series. You don't want to go that well too often. You don't want to be known like Joss Whedon or the writers of Lost. No good fathers allowed. Lost has the worst father ever in the history of storytelling. Joss Whedon has a lot of shitty fathers or just non-existent fathers, but he didn't have a father growing up, so that's his own thing. So that that's another reason why they do it. Even the Lost, one or both of them had terrible relationships with their parents, so that also spoke to it. I think it was Damon, whatever his name is. It's not Carlton Cuse. It's whoever the other guy is. I think he's the one because he was there early on when they had all the backstory with Jack's father and all that shit. Truly, that was a conga line of truly terrible fathers on Lost. So, like I said, we're not here to just do a list of terrible fathers. That's not really that interesting. My thing is, would it be the same? See, it also, like, intentionality is different. In Hunter x Hunter, Jing has to be an absentee father, or the plot doesn't work, the story doesn't work. The kid is going out there to find his father. That's the whole quest. Like, you'd have to come up with a completely different quest. So it's just an easy quest to have, right? It sets up the entire story. Everything in the anime that I watched everything was predicated and driven by the fact that, like, Gon's father was out there somewhere. So in that case, it's just a plot device. And yes, all characters are plot devices. I understand that, but like I tend to think of them as actual people, just because that's just the kind of writer I am. And it's just kind of hollow and cold and empty to just think of them as they all are just plot devices. Like the plot doesn't happen without the characters, and the characters have to do certain things and make certain decisions. Your job as a writer is to make the decisions inevitable. Like, you're gonna go get your girlfriend back because you're madly in love with the girlfriend. It's inevitable. There's no question. Like, nobody questions that. Even though the girlfriend is just a plot device, and so are you. Like, the main character is just a plot device, and so is the girlfriend. But if you write it correctly, that's not apparent at all. It's just the emotionality is there. It's like, man, he really loves this woman, and he can't live without her. He's gonna go get her. He's not going to sit around and wait for the kidnappers to bring her back. He's going to go get her. Like, so if you're a good writer, they don't feel like plot devices, even though they are. But Jing, whatever his name is literally just a plot device. So that's why he's a terrible father. Judge is just a plot device. That's why he's a terrible father to Sanji, The Steins Gate dad is a plot device. Anybody could have murdered her, but this just hits harder. It's just it's really well done. I think this actually transcends. I'm actually changing my mind as I speak out loud. I don't think he has a plot device. I think the fact, because anybody could have murdered her. It didn't have to be him. It had to be Gon's father, or there was no reason for him to be this obsessed with finding him. It had to be Sanji's father, or you lose a lot of motivation. Why would he willingly go? He's willingly going because he's finally going to face up to his parents, his father, his siblings, and put the past behind him for good. Probably by trying to kill them, right? Or let them kill him. If it was just some random dude that had, say, maybe kidnapped his sister or something, that's just not a strong enough plot, right? That's not a strong enough motivation. So it had to be something like that. That's the definition of a plot device, where it just makes the plot work. In this case, Steins Gate, somebody else could have killed her. It could have been just a jealous ex-boyfriend who's jealous that she's smarter, and she dumped him and she's smarter. Like, that could just be what it was. And it would still explain why she was there, because she wanted to confront him. Or maybe wanted him to see the paperwork. Even though we're broken up, I'd like you to check this out, because she didn't think he hated her. But because she dumped him, he did hate her. And then he sees how brilliant she is, and that just makes it worse, so he kills her. Like, that could totally work. That doesn't even require much of a rewrite. It's almost as emotional. It still comes out of nowhere, and it still hits you. It packs quite a punch. It didn't have to be her father. So, making it her father makes it worse. Because a father murdering a girl is worse than a boyfriend murdering a girl. It just is. So, they wanted to make it worse. The writer wanted you to feel like shit. So that's where it transcends plot device, right? Then we've got like Dario, basically plot device. Like, we just had to get Dio to the JoJo's family. That's just a plot device. Just had to get him there. So, and the fact that he killed his father just shows he's a terrible person. That's basically plot device. Still, it could have been somebody else. Some homeless dude had been raising him since he was a baby. It didn't have to be a biological father. Maybe it actually wasn't even. We don't even. How would we know, right? Who his actual father is? There were a bunch of bums, homeless people. Who knows, right? But you assume it is. So plot device. Now, big ticket item. This piece of shit from Fullmetal. That didn't have to be his daughter. It could have been a girl down the street. She's not a plot device. She is to make it worse. She is to turn your stomach. She is to make him one of the most memorable anime characters in history. The memes are everywhere. His name has gone down in infamy. The author wanted you to feel like shit. This is not just a plot device. He wanted you to feel like shit. So, That's, I think, is a more interesting conversation than just let's list terrible fathers. You know, which ones are plot devices and which ones where the author just wanted to turn the dial up to 11 or 12. Asshole. I didn't want to feel those feelings when I was watching Fullmetal. I was having fun. There were gags. There were jokes, man. The dog was running around and jumping on people. It was funny. I was laughing. I was having a good time in that episode. I had to take the rest of the day off from recording. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I felt like shit. That was just, it was really the voice of the creature. It was so bad. Oh. So, that's more interesting. Let's go to the mothers. Because we can have the same conversation with the mothers. Alrighty. Now, I couldn't find a shitty mother. So, for this picture, I just used Miyadora's mother from Happy Mother's Day. I couldn't find an appropriate picture that matched with the one that went with fathers. So, I played it straight for this one. The irony being that she's a good mother, right? You know. This is weird. It says it has 5 comments, but I'm only seeing 2. But I don't think I have any deleted comments, so. Like I said, I have a folder that collects those. Yeah, I just checked it. Let me see. No, do I not? They took away the folder. They took away the thing where it's like questionable shit gets put in there until I can look at it and approve it or disapprove it. They reformatted the interface recently. And it's gone now. Huh. Let me see here. No? Oh, hell. No, here it is. It's just in a different place. No, there's nothing here. Okay. Alright. So there is nothing that's been held, but there's only 2 comments in here. Even though it says there's 5. That is odd. Maybe people deleted their comments. I don't know why they would do that, but, you know. Anyway, first one is from Maya Kasuka, I think. I don't know if that counts, but Isabella from The Promised Neverland, and, of course, Big Mom. I don't know what the hell Promised Neverland is. Big Mom. Let's talk about Big Mom. I don't think she's a plot device, first of all. She's just too big of a character. I think it's just character layers and texture that, you know, they make her a terrible mother. They didn't have to. The author just does it just to give the character a definition, right? She's a terrible mom. She's a worse baby mama than she is a mother. She seems to treat her... Yes, I mean, there's a couple of her kids she's treated like shit. She's domineering. They have to do what she says. But I think the worst parents are indiscriminately horrible and cruel. If you follow Big Mom's orders to the letter, I think she treats you very well. Now, that's not great, but there are no-win scenarios with some of these parents. You can do everything perfectly and they're still going to treat you like shit. I don't think that's the case with Big Mom. I think if you follow the rules to the letter, you'll be treated very well. Some people just don't want to do that, and who can blame them? So then she excommunicates them or tries to kill them or whatever. So, you know, there's a couple of her kids she's done that with. And she orders them around, she makes them do things they don't want to do. But I wouldn't put her in the category of one of the worst mothers out there. There are worse. So, not the worst mother, not the greatest. She hadn't eaten any of these kids like she ate some of her friends, apparently, at one point. So that wasn't great. Yeah, so, but at least she hasn't. But who knows? Maybe when one of these fugue states, when she wants wedding cake or whatever, then maybe she has eaten. Maybe at that time she wanted Pop-Tarts and nobody had any Pop-Tarts. So I guess it's possible, you know. She could have eaten some of her kids, is what I'm saying. It's possible. Who the hell knows? But I will say that she's definitely not a plot device. Okay, and this was from Kismet. This one's sort of hard, but Big Mom is pretty shitty. She done killed her own kid because of hunger pains. Wait. And just casually be destroying cities because of them as well. When did she kill her own kid because of hunger pains? Remind me of that. I'm not doubting you. I just don't remember this specifically. I know she killed some of her companions when she was a kid. Presumably. Killed some of her companions when she was a kid because of hunger pains. I don't remember killing any of her own kids. It may have been like a line of dialogue Yeah, it used to be 39 kids. Now she only has 38. We don't ask questions about that 39th kid. Could have been a line of dialogue. I don't know. But I don't know that she did that. I don't remember her doing that. I'll put it that way. So refresh my memory. But yeah, here's the thing. I only got 2 comments that are showing up. Both mention Big Mom and then whatever this Promise Neverland is. You mean to tell me there are no shitty mothers in all of anime? 30,000 anime series. There are no shitty mothers. That's what you're trying to tell me. Anywhere. I'm trying to think. I'm racking my own brain. Like I'm not mad at you. I'm racking my own brain because I feel like there are. I just can't remember who the hell they are. They don't stand out like the dads do, right? There's no way, man. There has to be some shitty mothers out there. There's no effing way. There's got to be a mother out there who whored out her daughter to a king or something. Or a mother who forced her kid to join the military when they were 10. What about the mother in Neon Genesis? Isn't she trash? He lives by himself, or is she dead? I can't remember. Shit. I can't remember. Maybe not. There has to be a trash mother out there. This is my challenge to you. We have to find the terrible mothers. We can't just have the dads be getting all the hits, man. There are some shitty mothers out there. Like, it's not just Big Mom. There's no way, man. There's no way in hell. I was expecting to find a list up in here. It said 5 comments. I was expecting to be able to talk about all kinds of people. Now, again, I couldn't find an image. The only image I could find was a good mother. So, nobody's making any edits out there of terrible anime mothers. I'm Googling this shit, man. Terrible ass anime mothers. I'm Googling this. We got to find this. Bad moms. 13 worst anime mothers ever. Now we're talking. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We got some images here. Shit. This is Game Rant, by the way. Now we're talking. Mitsuki. What the hell? My Hero Academia. Wait, you're talking about the bully's mom? Yeah, okay. The asshole's mom. I don't know if I'd call her a bad mom. We're not off to an auspicious start here. He's a piece of shit. Now, you could argue he's that way because of her, but I would argue she's that way because of him. Because he sucks. Nah, man, we're moving on to the next one. Mika Nokia Senpai is an Ata Kanako. I don't know. This is something I've never seen. So maybe I just haven't watched the ones. Kanoko Salamoria from My Happy Marriage. Completely absorbed in jealousy and spite. She sounds fun. So there we go. You know, jealousy and spite. Not good attributes for a mother. Akima Hazukiya from Erased. Careless and heartless when her daughter is in danger. Ooh, that sounds really fun. Yeah, she's trash. You gotta protect your babies, man. What the hell you doing? Rin Sohama from Fruits Basket. Believes she would hate her daughter all along. Well, you shouldn't prejudge these things. By the way, I was at a gig about 6 months ago, I guess it was. And you tend to hear people talking to each other, and I guess they don't realize how loud they're talking. This happens all the time. I'll hear random scraps of conversation. Being a writer, I'd listen in. Some of it can be pretty cool, pretty funny. This was weird. It was a woman. She was walking with a son who looked like he was about 16. I'm not a judge of this kind of thing. He was somewhere between 14 and 18, I guess. Probably about 16. And there was a masculine figure with them. Who knows? The father, stepfather, who knows? And then there was like a younger girl as well. And so the woman was talking to the boy, the 14-year-old, 16, whatever he was. And she said, I'm trying to remember the exact phrasing. it was, I love you. There's no question that I love you, but I don't like you. If you weren't my son, I would not have anything to do with you. And I was like, holy shit. She didn't like him as a person. And it's interesting to think about not liking your child as a human being, as a person. Because we have people we like, we have people we don't like. There's personalities we like, there's personalities we don't like. That's just how it is, right? Like, I'm not breaking any news here. You meet somebody, you either like them or you don't like them. Maybe sometimes you're ambivalent. You can take them or leave them, don't really care. But typically it's you like them or don't like them. But feeling that way as a parent, I was literally thinking, wow, Mother of the Year. But we don't know. Maybe he's a terrible person. Maybe he really, really sucks. I just can't imagine saying that, even if you feel that way. And who knows what provoked that comment? I didn't hear it, what provoked it. For all we know, he tried to kill a cop the previous day. Who the hell knows? He could have done something really bad, right? So I don't know. But I just think I think there has to be people out there who feel that way about their children. Probably people out there who feel that way about their parents. I'm sure there are, you know. But to actually say that, shit. But yeah, this bitch believes she would hate her daughter all along. Hayata's mom from Hayata the Combat Butler. But what the hell are these shows, man? Jesus. Sold her son to pay off her debts. Yeah, you're trash. You are complete and total garbage. You sold your son to pay off your debts. You basically sold him to become a butler, I guess. There's a picture of him standing there. He's got his little butler's uniform with his tie on, and there's 3 chicks, sitting together at a bench, and some woman's behind him. I don't know if that's his mom or not. Interesting, of course. Being anime, every girl has different colored hair. None of it natural color, of course. Hayata the Combat Butler. I kind of want to see that, man. I want to watch that. I'm never going to have time for any of this shit. There's so much anime I want to see, man. You just have no idea how much I want to see. Every time I see something, it's like, wow, that looks really good. I want to see that. I'm stacking shit up. I got a long list. Never have time for any of it. Asuka's mom from Neon Genesis. Okay, here we go. A right show wrong person caused her daughter to have severe abandonment issues. And then they got an image here. It's like, die with me. I don't remember that at all. I don't remember the series. Who the hell is Asuka? So I'm gonna have to rewatch that show. Like, that just, I keep wanting to watch the movie. I have to watch the show, man. I don't remember it. It's really bad. Sayaka Gashe, Future Diary. Took her own insecurities out on her daughter far too long. Well, that's not very nice. That was number 6, by the way. Number 5, here it is, Big Mom. Saw her children as mere tools. They got a great picture of her here, too. She only came in at number 5. So, like I said, she's not the worst one out there. Sayu's mom from Hijiya Hero blamed her daughter for her losses. Well, maybe she was right. I don't know. Hiroya Shiota, Assassination Classroom, controlled every aspect of her son's life, and this picture of her is terrifying. Jesus. Assassination Classroom. That sounds really fun. Marianne v. Britonia Kogias uses her children for her own advantage. That's a little too vague. I don't know. She looks pretty. I can change her. I can change her for the good. Oh, here we go. Isabella, Promised Neverland. Number 1. I've never heard. What the hell is the Promised Neverland? I've never heard of this show. I thought it was live action. I'll be honest with you. The comment said something that made me think that. I don't know if this counts. That made me think it wasn't anime. I don't know if that counts, but Isabella from the Promised Neverland. Saying I don't know if that counts made me think it was like not anime, right? So that's why I didn't think it was anime. I've never heard of this. Puts herself before her children in extreme cases. So what, she uses them as meat shields and somebody's shooting at her? Here, get over here and take this bullet. I don't know. She sounds trash. Like, for one of you to bring her up and then also for her to be number 1 on the list is very scary. All right, well, can't really talk about whether or not they're plot devices because I haven't seen anything from them. But that's the key, right? If they're plot devices, that's one thing. If they didn't have to be the parent, but the author made him the parent anyway. That's so much worse. And that really, to me, is the interesting part of the conversation. All right, well, be interested to see what you think of all that. And whether you can now, since we have a comprehensive list, I can't believe none of you have seen any of those shows. There were 13 ass shows on that list, man. Now, you did mention Big Mom. So, none of you seen any of that other shit. You had no moms to offer, man. Look, I know you love your mothers. This ain't about your mothers. This is about terrible ass mothers. So quit protecting the moms and get their asses out here on this firing line. The dad's been taking hits, man. The dad's been out here getting drum rolled and beat up and cussed out. Get these moms out here. They deserve the same. Just saying. Alrighty, well, let's go from that to some pre-recorded shit, which yesterday or day before, whenever that was, I watched the last bit of Castlevania, so I have some thoughts on the whole series. So I just finished watching Castlevania Nocturne Season 2. Not sure if there's going to be a third season or not, but I wanted to talk about that and the both seasons as a whole. I'm really enjoying the story. I love the characters. But in both seasons, this happened to me both times. It was a couple years apart because I think season 1 came out a couple years ago. And this happened in season 1 where it's like, there's 8 episodes. I was doing 2 a week. And it took me like 10 weeks to do the what should have been 4 videos, right? It took me forever to do the series. Even though I liked it. It took me forever to get around to watching it. And the same thing happened this season. I did the first 2 episodes and it took a couple weeks and I did episodes 3 through 6 altogether. Figured out, because I knew what had happened last time, so I was like, well, let me just get ahead of this and finish it. And then I only had time to do 4, and I was like, well, I'll do the next 2 tomorrow or something. Took me a month or 2, probably at least a couple months, to do the final 2 episodes. So I did like 2, took 2 weeks off, did 4 episodes, and then took like 2 months off. And it was like, it's a day-to-day thing. It's not like, well, I think I'm just going to take 2 months before I get back to this. It's like literally every day, should I do this? Well, I have this other stuff to do, and I have a lot going on. I always have something to do. Like, people, when they leave McDonald's at night, they don't have any work to do until they get to McDonald's again the next morning. Like, your time is your own. And the reason I bring McDonald's up is, like, people look down on jobs like that sometimes. A lot of times you're not making very much money and you're treated like shit. But the benefit, the perk, when you leave, your work is done. Like, you have no work, right? Until the next day, you can do whatever the hell you want. Literally, whatever you want. With me, there's always another thing I do. Like, it's like, midnight. I'm tired. There's more I could do. Or do I go to bed? That's the constant debate, right? And so, there's always something to do. So it's like, okay, well, I do this or do I do that? And I'm constantly making these decisions a dozen times a day. And really, when it's things I want to see, now there's some things I don't want to see. Like, there's certain movies I'm given where I'm like, I think it's going to suck. And, oddly enough, a lot of times I end up enjoying those movies. But going into it, I think the movie's going to be terrible. Like, Juno's a good example. I thought I was going to hate Juno. I thought it was going to be like pulling teeth. Ended up, I really enjoyed that movie. So, shit like that. So those, I will put them off. And a lot of times I end up doing a couple movies at the very end of the month and then I have to do them. I have no choice. But I put them off. It's like, okay, well, I can do the movie or I can do these other 4 things here. Because movies take a long time. So I'm always going to pick the other things, especially if I don't want to watch the movie. Like, if it's a movie I think I'm not going to like, then, I'll do that, right? So, here's the thing. When it's things I do like, which I do like Castlevania, so I wasn't putting it off because I thought I wasn't going to like it. I like it. Actually, I may even love it because there's a couple of the characters, especially Rebellion Girl, just cracks me up. I love her. I love her voiceover actress. I love her personality. I love her powers. Like, there's everything about her I love. And I like the son of Dracula guy, and I like the evil vampire who killed the main character's mother. Really like these characters. I like, the other characters are okay. The protagonist is okay. He's nothing special. He's nothing to write home about. But some of these other characters really stand out. They shine bright. I love them. So, I like the show. I'm not putting off because I don't like it, but so that I have to ask myself, why did this happen twice? And so I've really been thinking about this lately, last few days, even before I finally watched these last 2 episodes, because I've been meaning to talk about this show on the podcast. Last podcast episode, I didn't even do another animation segment because I'd only targeted that segment for this Castlevania, and I just didn't get a chance to watch, Castlevania 2 weeks ago. So it's been another 2 weeks. Like, for weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been like, I should do this, I should do this, I should do this. And I just keep putting it off, keep putting it off. Even though I now, with the podcast, have a second reason to do it. beyond my obligation to do it, right? So why? I think the reason why is the seasons are too short. This is what I've been able to come up with. I think if this was like if these were 20 episode seasons, I would have went right through them. Like it would take me less time to do 20 episodes in a season than it would have taken me time to do 8 episodes. And I know this is true because the original Castlevania was like 4 seasons or something. 10 or more episodes per season, and I never had this problem with that show that I remember. I went right through it. And I also don't have this problem with Arcane. Now, the person who sponsored the first season of Arcane left. He's not on my Patreon anymore. So he's not here to sponsor the second season, which is the only reason I haven't done it. I didn't have this problem with Arcane. That's a 9-episode season. But those episodes are twice as long. So you could say it was an 18-episode season. So what am I talking about? Why does the shortness matter? You think you can get through it faster? Well, I think it's just the 8-episode season of Castle Nocturne, and there's a couple other shows like this that have really short seasons. They just feel unfulfilling in that there's a lot of wasted potential, and the scale of the threat goes beyond the imagination really fast because they only have 8 episodes. The scale of the threat in the first season, it was and kind of paid off in this season, is that you're fighting gods, right? Whereas if you had a 20-episode season, you're not going to be fighting gods for 20 episodes. You're going to be having other little smaller adventures. You can get into the shit. It's like a small adventure, right? It's like, okay, we're going to take care of this vampire boss. We're going to take care of this demon boss. Kind of what they did with the original series. They didn't go straight into all the heavy shit, like fighting Dracula immediately, right? You have time to breathe. You have time to get more invested in the characters. Like, I love the characters, but I'm not in love with the characters, if that makes any sense. There's a difference, right? 4 30-minute episodes is basically a movie, And these are really 22-minute episodes. So basically, with one season, you got a long movie. And if it is a long movie, then you can just sit down and watch the movie. But it's broken up, right? And, think about it, like, is there a movie character you love as much as a TV series character who lasted for 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons? Think about like how much people love Mulder and Scully compared to how much they love Indiana Jones, for instance. They love Indiana Jones. And he did have a TV series, so maybe this isn't a good comparison. But they love, Luke Skywalker. But there's only so much you can do when you only have him for 9 hours, maybe. And really not even that. More like, 7 hours with the original trilogy of the Mark Hamill, the Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and all that stuff. I grew up, and we love these characters, but I love the TV characters more. You just spend more time with them. You have more time to get to know them. You have more time for them to get into your system and get into your blood and just be like, wow, this is somebody you look forward to seeing all the time. And so I think it's just, I just wasn't into the characters enough to get me, like with One Piece, 1,100 episodes, man. And I'm always excited to watch it because there's always more, because I really love these characters, because I feel like they're like family at this point. I've seen them so much, right? And so, season 1, and this isn't, this is a sequel series, but it's different characters except for one character, right? So in season 1, you have 8 22-minute, 24-minute episodes, and the characters are not on screen the entire time anyway. So, like, you're getting in one season maybe 100 minutes, 150 minutes with a specific character. That's like 5 episodes of an anime, or any other kind of TV series, and even less if we're talking about TV series like Arcane. So I just think that the problem with this show, and I think it's not done great in the ratings. I think the problem is it's just too goddamn short. I think they need more time. Now, they probably didn't have the budget for more time. I'm sure they would have gotten more time if they wanted, because I think the original series, the fewest episodes they got was 10. And the animation is really good in this show. And the music's really good. That costs money. I get that. Even the voiceover actors are using a pretty top-level voiceover actors, right? And, actual actors you've heard of outside of voiceover even. Like Baltar from Battlestar Galactica, and Sir Friendzone from Game of Thrones, also in Silo, right? So, pretty decent actors. I understand it costs a lot of money, it's a lot of budget, but I'm just saying, there has to be a way, there has to be a sweet spot to get enough episodes, at least in your first season, to get audiences to love these characters, so that the viewership will remain or increase for future seasons. Because this is really the only reason why I can think. I can't think of any other reason, because, like I said, I love the show. There's nothing else turning me off about this show. There's not any plot decisions I don't like. There's not any characterizations I don't like. You know, the action's great. Like I said, the music's great. The voiceover talent is excellent. There's not a single character where I felt they're like other shows I watch where the delivery's just trash. None of that. So that's really the only thing I can come up with, to be honest with you. Like, I just feel like we just don't have enough time invested with these characters. I don't know what the solution is, because like I said, the budget isn't there, or they would have done it, right? So it's one of these things. I think I've seen people bitch about this on Reddit about a lot of shows. Seasons are just getting too goddamn short. It's a problem. You're basically just getting miniseries now, and you get a miniseries every couple years. If 2 years, I mean, we used to have network TV put out 24 episodes a season, take 3 months off, and put out another 24 episodes. Now, was the budget and the quality as good? No. And people would complain about filler, and I think filler is where you fall in love with the characters. I really do. That's when you fall in love with the characters. You look at a Buffy season, the filler episodes, the Monster of the Week episodes are some of the best, because that's when you really fall in love with the characters. It's not the myth arc. The myth arc episodes is when all the action's happening and things are really fast paced, and you don't have time for a lot of these character moments in a lot of cases, unless there's one character being affected by the mythology, right? So it's crazy to me that we've gone from that to 6 to 9 episodes every 2 years, like not even every year. And we're not, see, that would be like 9 months between seasons if it's every year. It's a year and 9 months between seasons. And in some cases, if something goes wrong, the plague or a strike, then it's 3 years in between. It's just ridiculous. The state of TV, and this, I'm not trying to turn this into a rant about the state of TV, but it is a larger problem. And I think you're just killing people's investment in series, especially the other problem we're having along with these short seasons is half seasons. They're not even real full seasons. At least this show and Fallout and Arcane feel like complete stories. Our season of that feels like a complete story. Now you have Promise of More, but still a season that feels like a complete story. Speaking of Fallout, are we going to end up with like 2 years in between? So in other words, 2022 and then 2025 is essentially 3 years in between seasons. Is that what we're going to end up with? Because it seems like that's taking forever. So I don't know, man. 10 for me is a minimum, and I would prefer 12 to 13 episodes per season. And I just think it's a major problem in TV in general, especially with animation. Invincible Season 2 was blasphemous. It was a travesty. It was ridiculous, and it really hurt my enthusiasm for the series. It took a couple episodes in Season 3 for me to even get excited about the show again. And now the two seasons together feel like one complete season, whereas Season 1 felt like a full season. So I think it's a problem, and I think, I don't know what we do about it. I just wanted to talk about this because I think it's interesting with this series in particular, because I was like, why the hell did this happen twice? There's something's going on. Once is a fluke, but literally twice with the same property. I had to examine it more, and that's what I've come up with. Let me know what you think. I guess if it's coming out every week, you just kind of just watch it because it's appointment television. You don't really think about it. You don't have it all together. To maybe, and also because this is work for me, and there's work required. You got to be fresh and energetic and analytic. You can't just let all 8 episodes run and maybe, oh shit, I don't really remember the middle couple. Let me go back and check them out, because so it's a different experience for somebody like you rather than somebody like me. But still, I'm just curious if you've noticed this and what your thoughts are in general, the state of TV seasons. Fortunately, mostly what we talk about here is anime, and they just have a different model. They do things differently, and they don't mind they take their time with everything. One of these days I'm going to talk about the difference between short series and long series, because there is a conversation there, and I think the short series do suffer. But that day is not today. Just in general, big picture, this is some of the best non-animated stuff I watch. I would put the Castlevania and then this sequel series I would put that probably below Arcane, even though I've only seen one season. Invincible. Those may be the only two things in top, because I haven't seen a huge number of animated series that are not, anime. I'm watching the superhero stuff, but that is so serialized, right? The Justice League, and the longest story you're going to get is going to be 42 minutes, maybe, with a two-parter. They had a three-parter once, maybe. It's so serialized, it's hard to put that above anything else. So maybe Justice League would be next, and then you'd have. I'm currently watching Batman the animated series, super serialized. So those are my overall thoughts. I really liked it, and I think animation's got a problem. I think we continue this trend. We're going to keep seeing these series only last a season or two and then just get ditched because people just they don't have time to get invested in it. And I don't know that they're going to notice that trend. They're going to blame the show, they're going to blame the source material, they're going to blame the showrunner, they're going to blame the writers. They're not going to blame the format and the running time and the length of seasons. That'll be the last thing they blame because they're not looking at it objectively. They're they're in the woods. They can't see the forest for the trees. So, but I see it clearly. I'm convinced that's a major problem. And we're going to keep seeing it happen. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to record these thoughts ahead of recording the rest of the podcast just so I'd have it all fresh. All right, so that was fun. Let's go ahead and get to the hot take. I don't know how scorching hot this is, but it's something that occurred to me the other day because I watched the movie Red for One Piece, right? And it was the best One Piece movie I've seen, and I've only seen two. It was really good. It was as good as anything I've seen in the regular series. Fantastic. So, here's my question. Why is now, I guess I can't say every because Naruto may have a canon movie or two. But why is every anime movie non-canon? Jujutsu Kaisen, I think their movie is canon. Why are they non-canon? Why are they just automatically non-canon? I guess it's because the author didn't write the source material to be adapted from it. But then use a movie, adapt some of the manga into a movie, right? If that's the case, or have the author write at least an outline for a movie. Because it feels like a waste. And I guess, again, Red is kind of semi-canon. The events of it are not canon, but the fact he has a daughter apparently is canon. So we're in some weird territory. All I'm saying is, I feel like anime should take the X-Files approach. Jujutsu Kaisen did this, right? They put a movie out right before season 2 started, or somewhere in the middle of season 2. They did exactly what I'm talking about. I'm thinking every anime should do this. Because My Hero Academia has the movies, and they tie in the movies with their little filler episode that get you to watch the movie and shit. Speaking of which, I need to go back and watch some more of those My Hero movies. There's some others I want to see. But the animation is great. They want movies in the movie theater. And I think the reason, and again, Jujutsu Kaisen kind of undercuts this a little bit. But I think the reason they don't want it to be canon is they don't want fans of a TV show to have to go to a movie theater to get part of the story. Even though the X-Files did this 20 years ago. You had to watch the movie between seasons 5 and 6 to understand season 6. You had to. They shot it, which was interesting. They shot it between seasons 4 and 5. But it wasn't ready via the magic of post-production until between seasons 5 and 6. So they wrote it. So all of season 5 was being written to line up with the movie, the beginning of the movie, right? And then the end of the beginning of the season 6 came right after the end of the movie, right? So you had to see the movie in the theaters that summer. So, point being, you can do this, and you're not really screwing over your fans. It's one goddamn movie ticket. You cheap bastards. You're fans. You're watching this shit on regular TV for free, man. Maybe you're paying a little bit of Crunchyroll in anime. I don't know how they do it I think they can just watch it on TV in Japan. Get your cheap ass off the sofa and get your ass into the movie theater. Pay the $20 for the stupid movie ticket and watch the damn movie, man. You ain't never spent a dime on this show your entire life. You just watch it on free ass TV. Maybe you buy merchandise. Nobody's making you do that. But I'm just saying, man. To watch it, you ain't spent a dime your whole life. Get your ass in the movie theater. I've heard this, man. I've heard them say, "Whoa, can't screw over the fans that way." I don't know, man. I think you can. I think it's okay. We're talking about one movie ticket. And One Piece being the way it is, you can just skip it if you want to. For instance, Say the Gold Roger adventure from Wano, from One Piece, where we read his diaries, and I think we take like a 12, 15 episode diversion from the series or something like that, and there's all these flashbacks of what happened, when he was that Odin was hanging out with Gold Roger. Make that a movie. And 2 hours is the equivalent of about 7 episodes. So if you got more than 7 episodes of material, that 7 episodes is also the intros and outros and recaps and all that other crap. You actually you could fit 9, 10 episodes of material in a 2-hour movie, because you're not gonna have all that crap, right? All the wasting your time. So 10 episodes worth, they could have put that entire thing in a movie and made it a movie, and just be like, okay, you watch up to episode 983, and then that's where you would want to watch the movie if you want to. You don't have to. And see, that's the thing too. You didn't have to know that shit. You didn't have to know about the flashback to enjoy that arc, right? So if you're a cheap bastard and you don't want to spend the $20 to go see the movie, you can still enjoy the show. But if you want the extra context and the better animation, and they have the budget, and they have more time with the movie, they spend more time working on it, they have a better budget and everything, and just it looks great. You're watching on the big screen, you finally see Gold Roger and Whitebeard fighting each other, and you could juice it up because you have the animation budget to do that, right? So the fights would be better. And then you can do that like when Luffy's fighting Kaido. Make that just Luffy fighting Kaido a movie or something, right? I don't know. That's more of the culmination of an arc, so probably not. But some badass mid-level boss fight, make it a movie so you have the animation budget and the time to really spend, really make it look good. So why can't we do that? Like I said, I think the only barrier to entry to that being a thing is they don't want to screw over the fans. F the fans. That's not screwing over the fans. That's my hot take. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. But it's kind of annoying that none of the movies are canon. I don't know what that is. I first started getting irritated with that with My Hero Academia. They spent an episode of the effing series hyping this movie up. It was a filler episode, but still. I'm watching the series, I watch the hype, right? And then, then it leads to a movie, right? But none of that shit's canon. Then don't put it in the series, man. It's just annoying. I want this shit to mean something. And none of it means anything. You can make whatever you want canon. Like I said, show canon in One Piece is canon, right? If they show, whether it's filler or not, if it's in the series, it's canon. If it's not in the series, it's not canon, which means that moon shit is not canon to the series. It's canon to the manga, but it's not canon to the series, like I said earlier. So, but yeah, that's my take. All right, well, before we get out of here, this is my current anime watching ranks. Fortress Macros, I'm just way behind on that. Paul had to drop out, but I still want to watch it, and I owe him a bunch of shit. So I'm going to do it. I just haven't, the past couple weeks have been all Game of Thrones, Clash of Titans. So just haven't had a lot of time, been feeling like crap. So it's hard to get enough time today. But I'm going to get back to it. Next up after that is Yu Yu, and finish the story arc. This next story arc is really interesting. I'm only a couple episodes into it, but it's really, really interesting. It's really, I like it so far. It's a different kind of villain, much more cerebral, and it's much more of a mystery box scenario. So we might see this jump way up next episode of the podcast. But I'm just a couple episodes in, so I can't judge yet. But trending upwards. Now, as far as Bleach and JoJo goes, I know I've been really lacking in putting those out. Like I said, like I was just talking about with Macros, I just haven't had time, man. And I know that's a common refrain, but there's only as much time. I work 12, 14 hours a day, every single day. I don't go anywhere, other than the side hustle, like I talked about, where I'm driving. But then, I'm gone all day, right? When I'm here, I'm working. So I'm working on something. Now, a lot of times what I'm working on is not something you give a shit about. So, for instance, I watched Castlevania yesterday, or the day before, whatever that was. The time I spent watching that and editing that and tying on my computer to export it, if you don't care about Castlevania, then you don't give a shit, right? Or I'm going to be doing Boruto after right after I finish the podcast, I'm watching some One Piece, and then I'm going to watch some Boruto. only 2 of you care about Boruto, right? So the rest of you are like, well, that's a big waste of time. But that's shit I have to do. Like, it's just in the list. So I'm always working. It's just there's just not enough hours in the day to fit everything. Like, Bleach and JoJo, for instance. So as I run out of One Piece, I'm going to have more time for Bleach and JoJo. And I'm going to find time for those as well. So let's see how it goes. I actually do have one JoJo recorded. I just haven't had a chance to edit it together and export it. And also I wanted to watch some more before I do that, rather than just releasing one episode. So one's in the can. It's episode 30. I guess 30 of the current story arc is what it is. I don't know what the full over episode number is. But anyway, so Bleach and JoJo are kind of what they are. Boruto's right there in between them. So it goes Fortress, Macros, Yu Yu, Bleach, Boruto, JoJo. Those are just kind of in limbo right now. We're going to see more as I actually get back into watching that shit. Now, the rest of these I'm current on, for the most part. Where the hell is Steins Gate Zero? We've got Fate Zero, but there's also Gate Zero. I didn't write it down. Let me write that down real quick. I'm going to put that next after JoJo. We got Gate Zero and Fate Zero. So just to make sure it's not confusing, right? I think that's why I didn't write it on here, because I thought Fate Zero was Gate Zero. Gate Zero is really good. The only thing I don't like is I thought it was going to be a lot more about the AI, artificial intelligence, and it's just not. Which this is a time travel show, so of course it wouldn't be about artificial intelligence. But it makes me want to watch an anime about artificial intelligence. I'm sure the Japanese have a lot to say on that subject. And so I'd like to see some anime about it. Like I said, I've got a long list of anime I want to watch. On that list is artificial intelligence anime. So I want to see that. That's looking pretty good. One Piece is all the way up to number 4 now. It's because of this Futureland storyline is really good. I'm up to episode 1102. I'm about to watch some more, like I said, right after I finish. As I'm exporting this podcast, I will be watching some more One Piece. So I can't wait. I'm actually excited. This whole Vegapunk split into people, he's got like 6 of them. I hate Vegapunk's character design. I hate the characters with their tongue sticking out. It's just stupid. Nobody has their goddamn tongue sticking out. This author is obsessed with tongues. He's obsessed with birds. And he's obsessed with snot. Why is he obsessed with all the things I hate? Why? The only thing he's not obsessed with, thank Christ, that I hate is feet. Because, that foot fetish thing, the Quentin Tarantino shit. Get that off my screen, man. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to think about it. You're nasty. Feet are nasty. Wash them damn feet. So, at least he doesn't have a foot fetish. Thank Christ. But he's got a tongue fetish and a snot fetish and a bird fetish. So just stop it. Just stop it. Anyway, I'm liking it right now. Number 3, 7 Deadly Sins. Man, they are just hauling ass with this plot. I'm not entirely sure I've seen any episodes since. I'm up 4 episodes into the next season 4. But the way I do this is I'll record a batch and then go a couple weeks and record a batch, go a couple weeks. I'm not sure I've seen any since the last time I did this. But I really like where it is, storyline. We're doing the whole evil thing. I don't like the way they're getting back into, he's evil. And the way they're going to get him keep from being evil anymore is they're going to bring his humanity back from limbo. His emotions back from limbo. It's a metaphor, but I'm not really getting it. I don't really like it, So, I don't know. I mean, that's not really working for me. But everything else works. They said the animation took a big drop. I guess I just don't give a shit enough about it to, be like, oh, man, this animation is trash. I mean, I'm sure there exists animation so bad I'd be like, nah, fam, I'm out. I'm sure that exists. This ain't that bad. So it's not so bad. Phase Zero's been number 1 for a couple weeks now. It's number 2, only because Gintama is so goddamn hilarious. But Phase Zero's number 2. Just finished season 1, about to start season 2 this week. And I'm telling you what, man, it's such a great show. It is a great show. It's just the action. The characterization is... The action and characterization are my favorite parts of it. It's just really clicking on all cylinders. So it's jumping. I like it a lot. And then Gintama, we talked about it earlier. funny, unhinged. I think I have a comedic bent. I've written some funny stuff. I've written some funny dialogue. I've always been good at that. Like, I just see the world in a funny way. I can't imagine ever approaching this level of comedic excellence. Like, just so brilliant. Now, I said this one in the intros, that you can reach a point of comedy where you're just doing random shit for random reasons, and the audience realizes that, and then it's not funny anymore. It's like, let's have the 3 seashells, and we wipe our ass with 3 seashells, but nobody can figure out how we do that. It doesn't mean anything. There is no way to do that. It's just random. You know, they had 5 different things on a board, and they threw a dart, and the dart hit 3 seashells. Okay, let's say they wiped their ass with that. It could have been, I don't know, a crystal ball, and it could have been a ballpoint pen, and it could have been an action figure. It just turned out the dart hit 3 seashells. It doesn't mean anything, right? You know. So, like, it's funny when you're first hit with it, but then every time you rewatch the movie, it gets worse and worse. It's just it's just random. It doesn't mean anything. It's just randomly random. It's like Night Court one time got a censor note where they said a woman was doing something. She was in court, right? And she is charged with doing something sexual with an object in the park or something like that, right? And the judge says, well, we're going to need to see the object. And the lawyer's like really embarrassed. Like, I don't think we want to show this in open court, sir. I just don't think we want to show it in open court. And they argue about it, and the judge insists. And so the lawyer reaches into a bag and pulls out a thing of radishes, right? It's like I guess, what do you call it? A bunch of radishes, right? And that was the object she was having sex with. And the network says, you can't do that. You can't show the radishes. And the writers are like, what the hell are you talking about? And the network, who apparently thought that there was a joke that they weren't getting, and so they're trying to cover, they says, you know what that means, and I know what that means. You can't show that. And the writer literally said, it doesn't mean anything. We just made it up. We and it's what I said. You know, they had a bunch of shit written on the board, and they threw a dart. And the dart hit radishes. It could have hit ice cubes, which I think can actually be whatever. They had things that had no sexual connotation with it, so it wasn't ice cubes. It was like styrofoam. Trying to remember dice, maybe. Radishes, styrofoam, dice, and whatever way. There was a bunch of shit that had zero. Poker chips, I think, was one of them. Zero shit. Zero connotation ever in the history of mankind. Zero connotation with sex, which is hard to do because most things can be sexual. You're like a feather duster. Ice, like I said, chocolate syrup. Like, there's so many things that can have a sexual connotation. The point of the joke in the show was what they pull out had zero sexual connotation whatsoever. That was the point. That was the joke. And they got a network note, and the network wouldn't let him do it because he couldn't believe that wasn't some kind of kid hippie code for something sexual, right? He had too much respect for the writers. But I've never liked that kind of comedy. Like, it just, the random shit, that I don't think it's long lasting. I don't think it has legs. And if that's your main go-to for comedy, it goes old fast, and people get tired of it, and they stop laughing. Because it's just going to be some random shit. Just you know, that's why I don't like Monty Python a lot. You know, and what's that, Bean? A lot of British comedies like this. But it's the Bean something, Mr. Bean or whatever, and there was another British comedy. There's like 3 of them. What was the one where they go really fast with the music? That could be Python, it could be something else. But like those British shows, a lot of it just relies on complete and total randomness, man. Just random crap that doesn't go together. Ooh, the bunny rabbit's so scary he's going to rip your arm off. Like, it just, you know, I mean, it's fine, but it's really the lowest effort of comedy that there is. Because it's not a joke. It's almost a lack of a joke, kind of like with the Night Court thing I talked about, right? So, anyway, Gentama was kind of flirting with this for a while. I was like, well, some of this shit is just so damn random. You know, it's just like, he's a really big dog, and this alien looks like a duck. And, you know, I mean, it was starting to feel that way. And then they kicked it into another gear somehow. Like, this happened mid-episode. I talked about this during the episode. I was like, wait a minute. No. They are actually doing, like, the shit actually means something. it clicked in my head. It wasn't just random to be random. There was a grand design in place. And it clicked in my head. And that's when this became the best comedy I've ever seen. Because the amount of effort required to do that is very high. So, yeah, the funniest show I've ever seen. Show me a better anime than this. A better comedy anime. People have mentioned this. I think I gave a challenge in one of my posts recently. And people brought up some other anime. And I'm going to definitely go back and check that out at some point. Because I want to laugh. I like laughing. Right? I like funny anime. Man, this one's just brilliant. Just completely and totally unhinged. But there is a design. So there we are. Alrighty. Well, last time, 2 weeks ago, I got zero ideas for suggestions for topics. Hey, if you leave me to my own devices, I'll come up with some shit. I will. But if you have something you want me to talk about, suggest it. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Come on. Come here. Come on. You can do it. I'm not coaxing a cat out of a tree. I'm just saying. Don't be scared. Put your shit out there. Maybe we'll talk about it, right? But hey, if nobody wants to suggest anything, then yeah, I'll just come up with some shit on my own. Yeah, I'll start making these topics heinous. Just shit. I guess that'd be self-defeating. If I'm talking about shit you don't want to hear about, then you just won't listen. So, no, that's self-defeating. I gotta somehow keep it interesting. Oh well. Hopefully you suggest some shit. So, we'll put up a poll in a couple days. But yeah, that's it. It feels like this is going to be the longest one ever. I feel like I talked forever. So, yeah, it's time to go.